Hello everyone and welcome to the Lightbringers podcast where I can't say any words properly.
Welcome everybody to the... You can hear us today, that's right. I didn't even say anything, Jebro. I didn't even have to say anything. I just had to sit here thinking about how Boots would interrupt you and just immediately goofed a little bit. Just a little bit, not that bad.
I like it. It was very weird how like I couldn't say any words. I saw like podcasts. Hello, and like, just all of a sudden it's just like, Jebro, I guess I speak a lot during the week, so maybe my words have just decided to fight against me. But hey ho, that is exactly what is happening. Everyone in chat, thank you very much. Hello, and I hope you are well and you are having a good day, whatever you're doing. We're here. It's myself, Rook, and also Fornax is here as well. And we're going to bring you a lovely, chill little podcast this weekend. We're on a Sunday because I had a massive tattoo job on Friday, and I definitely couldn't do that whilst I was doing that. It would have been interesting, actually. Maybe in the future. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lightbringers podcast.
What if we did a Lightbringers podcast while all of us got tattoos live?
She's got Tybalt like tattooed on us somewhere, like on our elbow or something.
No.
I'm down.
No.
I'm down.
Really?
No.
No.
I am. I can't speak for Fornax. Look.
All the no. All the no.
Well, okay. Dreams destroyed for the entirety of the community who enjoys the podcast. Then.
I'll definitely watch you two getting stabbed, though. You have at half that.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that's
from
good.
the sideline.
It's a fun activity. But yeah, so there's that. We're going to go through some news and whatnot today, as long as I don't mess up my scenes, which is what I'm currently trying to do, apparently. Oh, chat, why you got break? OBS added like some really awesome stuff, but it doesn't resize very well, and every so often it just goes pear-shaped, everyone, so... If you excuse me just for a moment there. Yeah, there we go. We're good. I'm just talking about my life. But yes, we're going to be talking about the studio update. We're going to be talking about... We're going to play some Wintersday as well. So if you do want to watch the podcast video, check it out on Spotify or YouTube on the Twitch VOD. We'll be playing a little bit of Wintersday, hanging out. People don't know what it is and what it's about. We'll show you how to play a few bits and pieces and walk you through some stuff. It's just going to be a really chill day, and also MMORPG threw out an award, Player's Choice Award to Guild Wars 2 as well, which we're going to talk about briefly as well during the cast. So, first of all, if you have enjoyed the podcast in the past, future, or present while you're watching now, do us a favor, hit that like button, chuck a review on maybe in iTunes or whatever other thing can do that. Tell people how much you're enjoying yourself watching this amazing show with these amazing personages, and check out their stuff in the description below as well. You can buy the expansions through them. You can also check out their channels, and you can check out all their social media and things if they decide to keep using that on Twitter and stuff in the future, because that's on fire currently. So if you want to witness more fire, go to Twitter, as it's currently needing some dousing, I believe. But yeah, otherwise, please tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you do it. Rookery is back.
Hi, it's me again. Jebro still can't get rid of me, so I'm back again for another episode. So happy to be here with all of you. I play MMOs. I think most of you that have listened at this point know that, but I particularly love Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14. So whether we're playing them, we're talking about them, we're doing podcasts, we're doing special events. Like this week, I am actually shoutcasting this week and next week in Royce to World First for World of Warcraft. So that's been pretty wild. So whatever I'm doing, wherever it is, it has something to do with my love of games, particularly MMORPGs in general. But I've been doing a little variety here at the end of the year. So we're actually playing through some Dragon Age. We're going to have a full run of the campaign of the most recent Halo. So a lot of wild stuff is going to be happening. So if you tune in, you might just get a special holiday treat. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv Rookery. That's ROOKURI. You can also find me on YouTube, where I upload big reactions, big emotions, big feelings, and other content, usually pertaining to lore or things like that in the games that we love. And then you can find me currently on Twitter at Rickery_, but that yesterday and today it has truly started to burn, so we'll see what happens. And Instagram's the backup, you know what? At Rickery over there too. So come say hi sometime.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Well, when I say back, I mean we have kind of a permanent roster of 5 people now, including myself. We have Rookery, we have Kroof, and we have Boots. And we just added Fornax to our 5-person kind of regular crew that we ask to pop on every single week. They get the first opportunity to deny me. And then we kind of ask other people or get new people in to talk about what they think's going on. But Fornax as well, welcome. Hello. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you're doing, where you do it, and welcome officially to our light-bringing party thing.
It's very, very sweet of you to ask me to come, and it shows how desperate you are. So I'm kind of feeling very sorry for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Fornax, you fit right in. You should have been here from the start. Yeah, sass, Jebro.
Got more British people now.
No, but I really love chatting with you guys about the game and other games, and you're a lovely bunch to be with. So it's a great boon for me, and I really appreciate it. It's good for my mental health. Short with the gamers.
True, very true.
It's true. It's true. Content, as these guys well know, when you're talking to the world, you're actually talking to yourself a lot. So getting in touch with other people in your community is super important. So if you don't do it a lot, I recommend you try. It's kind of nice. But I make content on Guild Wars 2 mainly, over on YouTube, and I am on Twitch too. It's a fun place to be if you like, the 1940s replaying in short form. It's very strange. But anyway, yeah.
Wait, what?
That's me.
What was that? If you like
do you know
Twitch,
what I'm talking
you like
about? Yes.
I don't know at all. Actually.
No, yeah, no.
Twitter. Sorry, Twitter is.
Oh, I was
actually,
like,
Twitch
What's
has
this
had
reference?
its problems with its monetization, but let's not talk about that anyway.
I mean, it's had many problems.
Right, yeah.
I don't think there's a problem on Twitch that isn't weekly right now.
I do not understand social media hardly at all. So God help me. Anyway, yes, thank you for inviting me, and much appreciated.
It's also, I don't think many people do. We're still trying to understand this world we live in. But yeah. And we were talking about that before as well. And I just checked the Discord. Thank you for that, Rook. That information about Twitter there. That's great because, I probably would have broken that. That's new to us that... Yeah.
Sorry.
So you know what? I'm just collecting blog post links. I'm just distributing them like letters to orphans and Guild Wars 2, or from orphans, letters from orphans and Guild Wars 2. Just handing them out, little Wintersday treat here, because we've had a couple come in here at the end of the year, both before ArenaNet started their. They do this every single year, in case anybody didn't know. But they have a studio break, which is really nice, where everybody gets time off for the holidays. They enforce that really regularly. So they take time off, and they make sure that everybody gets a little bit of a breather at the end of the year. So they posted some updates right before everybody took those days for themselves, those weeks for themselves. And so we have a little bit of news to talk about.
We do, yeah. Let's start with that. Good job. Look at that. Good job. Awesome segue. Love it. We are going to do that.
Professional.
It was very good, yeah.
Thank you.
You do this. Something.
I try sometimes. I do okay job.
I also shout out to ArenaNet for their fantastic work culture, right? They really love their staff. They appreciate them. They give them the time they need. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing to see, especially in the games industry, where it is not ubiquitous for the people to be treated with respect and love. So hats off to them.
I'm glad that they just continue to do that, honestly. Thank God. Even when directors change as well. I think we actually saw on Twitter this past week, ArenaNet people calling out each other, saying all the things they do get well for each other, which you don't often see, honestly, that much at all. There was a lot of people calling out, Josh Davis, the director, saying, we appreciate how you look after people and support people, and a lot of the narrative team were talking to each other as well, as Nick and Anders, and they were talking about their achievements and stuff, and it was very nice. It was really good, really, really good. And yeah, just continue doing that. Continue treating each other bloody well. I would appreciate that.
I feel like the Guild Wars 2 community is like one of the last bastions of sanity and peace and loveliness on Twitter left, with everything else is just a raging inferno. We've got these tiny little communities that are all just showing each other love and sharing pretty pictures. It's kind of fun.
Yep.
I'm still not sure if that's a good thing or not. Sometimes I'm like, are we just ignoring the fire when we should be trying to help put it out or
no.
leave?
I mean, you mean on Twitter specifically?
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
as a platform supporting Twitter? Yeah. No, I think that in the actual discourse and banter between communities, it's definitely a good thing because,
Yes.
well, there are definitely pockets, I think, that can be a little bit more of a negativity echo chamber. You really do see, and I think we have seen a lot recently, a lot of positivity and uplifting amongst the community, amongst the developers, specifically around Guild Wars 2, which has been so nice. I mean, it's great to see because I think it's easy for any of us to sit down and type out an angry tweet about something or to just complain incessantly about things to the point that it's not beneficial. We see that all the time online. We see that in so many communities. But I know that at this point, looking at social media and things, I'm so fatigued with so much of the news and the drama and the politics and everything else that's been happening in the world that to just see people being treated well and uplifting each other and being happy about games that they love, it's like we can't ignore the bad things, but it definitely is like a soothing balm to my soul to just see that.
It's very true. It's absolutely true.
I think people on Twitter need to remember, though, that they are one of the smallest social media operations. Facebook is magnitudes larger with masses of people. Yeah, that they could really be a sort of like a snapshot of society.
Oh God, please
Twitter
no.
is a very
Oh God.
No, please, no.
well-being.
Not Facebook, no. But I mean, yes, you're right. There is a large population on Facebook, and even if younger generations have moved away from that, it is still a massive powerhouse. So you're not wrong.
It is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're going to start talking about some Guild Wars 2 stuff specifically. The studio update. Does someone want to start reading this? Take on a couple of paragraphs or a paragraph or two? Do we have any, or do you want me to start? What should we do?
I can do it. I'll do it. I'll spare Fornax. Unless you are dying to do it.
Oh yeah, no, dyslexic woman here dying to read aloud at any opportunity, especially in public.
I got you.
Yay! Yeah, go for it.
All right. Okay, hold on. Studio update. Happy Wintersday from the Guild Wars 2 team. This was posted on December 14th. And they said, before we head out for our annual holiday break and bid farewell to 2022, we want to take a few moments to celebrate the past year and extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, our players, for making it all possible. 2022 was a fantastic year for Guild Wars 2, and it started off with a bang. On February 28th, we released our third expansion, Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons, which brought a climactic end to the Elder Dragon Saga. Spoiler! They even included that, which I love. Yeah, it's the end of the Dragon Saga. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The team poured their heart and soul into bringing... I know.
I'm just like, no, we surprised you. It's another one. Woo!
JK, not the end. The team poured their heart and soul into bringing a reimagined Cantha to life, and in the end, we delivered an experience that we're incredibly proud of. But the expansion is just one part of this year's story. Living World Season 1, which had previously been unplayable for over 8 years, returned as a free and permanent addition to the base game. We delivered significant quality of life gameplay improvements for both new players and veterans, with more to come. We made considerable progress on long-term initiatives like the DirectX 11 upgrade and World vs. World restructuring, and we renewed our focus on regularly refreshing key gameplay systems like combat. And we released Guild Wars 2 on Steam, putting Tyria on the map for an entirely new group of gamers. You want me to keep going?
Sure, if you want to. I don't mind taking a bit as well, but you're doing a great job of reading.
Okay.
My stream is like, please, Jebro, don't read. I'll read the last two. There we go. How about that?
All right. Okay. We've also reinforced our commitment to being transparent and communicating regularly with all of you, with regular studio updates, quarterly roadmaps, and balanced preview live streams. In the background, we've been working quietly on our next content update, and we began early development on our 4th expansion. In the midst of everything, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of Guild Wars 2's original release, an achievement only made possible by the support of our community. These are the last two. Here you go.
Oh, okay. Just we're not going to talk and stream. We're not going to talk in depth about all these things. We're actually going to have a review of 2022 for Guild Wars 2. And actually, we might just go through the studio update again, probably, and be like, oh yeah, that's actually what happened this year, because it was a lot. Because you think about all the changes, all the new people that came into the game, everything. There was so much good stuff there. I'll just finish this off, and then we can have a brief word. We're not going to talk about too much, because we'll spoil our own show. All of this paid off in a big way. Back in April, we reported that our active player count had more than doubled over the past few years, and the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons had already sold out our previous expansion, Path of Fire. Today, we're excited to share a new accomplishment. This year, we've already seen more players venture into Tyria for the first time since 2015. A part of me was like, oh, this year, the year we made the base game content playable for free and launched our first expansion, Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns. This has been one of the best years for Guild Wars 2 in recent memory. Excellent. And we're eager to keep building on that momentum. We'll be back early next year to talk about our Q1 plans. And Q1, if you're not from America, because America talks about that more often than anyone else, it's the first quarter of the year, which include wrapping up the DirectX 11 transition, working on World versus World, which has been happening for so long, and upgrading our game browser technology from coherent Chromium embedded framework, Q Rook in a minute, and of course, new Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons content. We're also looking forward to sharing our long-term vision and plans for the game. Thank you all for a fantastic 2022. Let's do it again next year. You can't launch on any other platforms, mate. Like, what you can do? Have a wonderful Winter's Day. And it's like, let's do it again next year. Are we going for another expansion? I mean, cool. Let's do that.
No,
Give me another
coming
one.
to Xbox Pass. That's what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, they're going to console.
Console would be wild. It would be amazing. I'm not going to get ahead of myself unless they actually say that's something that's going to happen, but it would be so good.
I feel like we could do an episode on that, just like the controls. How do we even do that? So there was some cool stuff. So they're going to let us know about. We know they're going to go stay in camp for the next living world, or at least it's going to be themed there, and maybe they jump about a bit. Who knows? And there's more in store. World v World is still being tested and still being worked through. I think they just want to make sure that's working properly. It feels like it's been pretty good on the player side mostly. Maybe there's some bits and bobs where players are not sure how to work the system, maybe getting the UI correct and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about that coding side, because I don't. And also they were talking about the Chromium and some other shit that I don't understand. And Rook seems to know what they're talking about the most out of us three. So what do you think they were talking about, Rook, there? I mean, we know they use a web browser system kind of for the trading post, right? I think that's what they're talking about. Or was it? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. This is my guess. And again, I know the most out of the three of us, maybe, but only because my partner is a programmer and software engineer. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I am not the authority. This is just my understanding. So if you think of anything within like these kinds of web browsers, right? Like you're having a window that is displaying information to you in some kind of way, shape, or form. The way that it's responsive, how fast it takes for pages to load, all that kind of stuff is part of, we don't see it happen in front of us, but in order to set it all up and get it going, you have to have what's known as a framework. You can think of it almost as like building out the scaffolding in some kind of like structure building, something like that, right? You need a scaffolding to support everything else that will then actually be seen, the brick outside, the interactable elements of whatever this building is going to be. So with this in mind, I think what they're saying is that they've been using an old scaffolding, an old framework for the interfacing with the Black Line Trading Company. So in order to make those like real-time live transactions, in order to have, especially with like, the PayPal integration, all that kind of stuff, right? It's an online internet service that's connected to a window that we see displayed in game in this certain way. So my thought is that they've been running it on an old one, which has caused problems for people in the past. Sometimes we hear about errors with the Blackline Trading Company, things not properly showing up, it going down, issues like that, lag or delay, where when you open it up, it just takes a million years. So by upgrading to a new scaffolding, a better, more solid structure that will support the whole interface, and a different one that might give them more flexibility in some kind of ways, it seems like their goal is to make that experience more streamlined, less buggy, less laggy, right? Because the actual like structure supporting it will be different and better. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they're future-proofing the game, aren't they? They're kind of like shoring up the scaffolding, because I think a lot of people experience a lot of interesting bugs with their main source of revenue, which is the trading post. And I think that they really should, if they're trying to kind of increase the foot traffic there, and they're trying to increase sales, what they really need to do is they need to introduce a better system for people to preview the items that are on there. So I hope that is something that they're thinking about while they're updating all this kind of thing, because if a person can't really preview and see the item that they're trying to sell properly, it's gonna depress sales, I think.
Yeah, I think this is them trying to address a lot of those issues, right? Just making that something that's going to be more reliable for players. And maybe, we don't know yet if this means that they're going to completely redo the UI for it, where, like you said, there might be, updates and things. I hope so, because I can imagine that some of the previous framework probably limited certain things that they could do with it. So hopefully they do take this as a time not only to make the actual just like responsiveness and performance better, but to also kind of like streamline it and clean it up a little bit, like you were saying.
I also think it's amazing that they're getting... I'm hoping that this is like a Realm Reborn kind of momentum. As Final Fantasy kind of came back to life after it really just like crashed out in its first 2 years. And it just quietly started to gather players to it and gather more players to it as it proved that it could deliver the content that people were interested, and it proved that it had the quality. And I'm hoping that this is going to happen for Guild Wars 2, that people are going to quietly kind of come to the community, and we're going to see those numbers keep steadily increasing. I would really like that.
Absolutely. And when you think about, this was actually a pretty big paragraph in here, this discussion about the fact this year we've already seen more players venture into Tyria for the first time since 2015. Yeah. So when you think about 2015... I'll be right back, peeps,
okay? There's someone trying to deliver something, and I was like, they will not, like, I just had to contact them because it's like an expensive thing and things get stolen sometimes. So I'm just going to grab it. You keep talking. I just wanted to tell you while I'm running away.
Okay, go for it. That's huge. Like, that is massive, because when you think about the momentum that an MMO has at launch, right? Think about when New World released. Think about any of the recent releases for MMOs in history. Think about that initial hype, or even go back to when whoever you are, you began to play the MMOs that you love, or you jumped into Guild Wars 2. The hype of something that's brand new hitting the scene, all of that momentum from the advertising, a first expansion, which is a huge time for many games, that's something that, to even be able to say that those numbers are comparable 10 years later, that they're seeing the highest population, that End of Dragons has sold the most, that in that period of time, which is generally considered to be one of the most hyped times in all of Guild Wars 2's history, we are now seeing that resurgence. Fornax, like you said, that is not to be just snubbed. That's not to just be like ignored, because that's something that is a massive testament not only to all of the work, all of the quality of life, the incredible expansion, but the fact that they really have been taking so much action this year, as well as other factors like, certain audiences shifting and exploring new games. The Steam release, World of Warcraft saw a decline and is now seeing a rise back in its player base. But I think more and more people are interested in trying a wider variety of MMOs, and the pandemic, which played a huge role. So all of these things, I think, contributed to getting people into MMOs and MMOs they hadn't tried before. But That's huge. There are like very few MMOs that can say that when they're 10 years into their life cycle, they have had one of their absolute best years, on par with or even surpassing in some regards their initial release or first expansion.
I think if we can get people to just come and try the game, they will be so surprised at the quality of the visuals, of the storytelling, of the character customization, that it's kind of, it's paradigm shifting. And then if they get onto the mounts and the open world bosses and the jumping puzzles and all the side stuff, all the side shows that we kind of take for granted with all the different races. I mean, this is what World of Warcraft have done. They've taken a wholesale load of the ideas and the building blocks that Guild Wars 2, and they're pushing them out to their players in an inferior version, and their players are raving about it. And I'm like, guys, it's great and it's a massive improvement, but please come to Guild Wars 2 and see how it's actually done. It's so much better here. So, we need bums on seats. Yeah,
it's tough. It is tough. I mean, Fortnite. Oh, you said it. The thing is that WoW has left an indelible mark on MMOs in such a large scale way that I really don't know any other MMO necessarily can say that they did create this mold, this template, this impact on MMOs to the scale that World of Warcraft has in what we consider to be the modern iteration of MMO. That's absolutely true, and I do not want to discredit that impact that World of Warcraft has had, but it is funny to me because I feel like with Dragonflight, we saw them, the past expansions have been really troubled for WoW in recent years with Draenor and beyond. There have been good things, there have been bad things, but we have seen that both that paired with some of their development has led to much of their player base migrating at long last away from World of Warcraft. And now Dragonflight is being so praised, and it's funny to me because it feels like one of the first expansions where they went, oh shit, we really got to start looking at other MMOs, huh? People want us to do what other MMOs are doing. Oh, okay. We can't just ride on WoW's coattails anymore. Like, they were still innovating, and there were successes and failures within that. Again, not to discredit anything, but Dragonflight being praised for these components that I'm like, you realize that like this story and the cinematics and narrative and stuff, that's Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, and that kind of linear thing, and these memorable side characters, all that kind of stuff. Not that WoW hasn't had that, but the way they parceled, packaged, and delivered it, very much a draw from the narrative trends in MMOs right now. The open world, the mount stuff, all these things, Guild Wars 2. And it's like, other games have been doing this consistently for years. And it is funny how I think WoW gets that huge focus and praise for it when almost every player I've seen that has migrated over to these other games is now starting to realize, like from WoW, is now starting to go, oh, I could have had this for 10 years.
I mean, you say it's not just Guild Wars 2. They just looked out across the MMOverse, and it was like a smorgasbord for them. Like, I'll have some of that from Final Fantasy. I'll have some of that from Guild Wars 2. I'll have some of that narrative voice lines and consistency from Elder Scrolls, and they're just picking the best part. And I think, as a consumer, that is fantastic, and we should be encouraging them all to plagiarize, like. As I've said many times.
As long as they don't, at the moment they can't really. Everyone says, oh, they're copying this and they're copying that, and this game copies that, and I'm just like, as long as they do something extra and they don't just blatantly copy the thing, and then that's kind of okay, because that's what game we have to do nowadays. There's not much originality out there. That's very, very difficult. I think like creating a new experience is very, 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 very difficult to do, and it's normally indie game companies that are doing that. If anyone. They're just going completely out of the box, right? So like MMO wise, it's interesting. I was going to say, because I'm in the ESO stream team, and talking to those folks a little bit more recently, and then they had their studio update kind of thing, and they're talking about like revamping their plans completely for next year, and how they want to do more kind of grouped content, more kind of dynamic events and stuff, and not just focus on quests, because all they do really is like they've put out the same. The good thing about ESO is that they put out the same thing every year, right? So you knew you were getting 4 dungeons or whatever. I can't remember. Right? I think it's 4 dungeons. You get 2. You get a story patch, and you get like a big chapter as well. So and you knew you got these every quarter, which is cool. At the same time, I was just like, oh, no, this is coming again. Like, it's not a surprise. It's not like, there's an event and suddenly there's a random thing happening and they've changed the schedule. And I think when things become too regular, it can be very, can be a bit dull. It can be a little bit boring. And people are just like, yeah, well, there's so much story content in the game and there's so much VO. Like, we don't need more because I'm not even caught up. I'm a chapter behind. I ain't got the time. And it's like, okay, just chill with that for a little bit. Get stuff to keep your players in the game, which is what Warcraft seems to be doing. And if I didn't feel awfully bad about supporting Blizzard in any kind of way, then I might play or be involved with it in some way, shape or form. But there's part of me which just feels like that would be bad. So if anyone ever wants to pay for it for me, no, I'm joking. But like, there is that part of me which, as an MMO player, I'm wanting to make this MMO podcast at some point in the near future. Hopefully, I will have to jump in and touch the World of Warcraft because I will need that as a comparison for other things. We're just talking about the game. I have some good news
for you.
Go on.
It's free up until level 60.
I mean, I've got that. I've got the player. I can't do that anymore, unfortunately. I had Shadowlands like a couple of years ago when it came out, so
yeah.
I played through half of it. Yeah, so like I know that you can get 30 days for free with a game at the moment. I'm not trying to advertise World of Warcraft. Yeah, there's still a lot.
It's unionized, people. It's got a union. The workers have unionized. There you go. That's a redeeming feature.
That's good.
That's good, at least. That's good to hear.
But there's
I'm right there with you, Jeb. That's been really the only stumbling block for me. I actually would be playing Dragonflight probably avidly. I would give it a really good shot because I am really curious about what they've done, even though I fell off around like Legion time. And then with everything that came out, I was so morally conflicted, right? And that doesn't mean that like as MMO players we can't still keep an eye on things, we can't still and I am and like obviously I'm a part of the Race to World First right now, and they're raising money for amazing mental health causes, and the community is really rallying in a wonderful way, which is great to see. It's so hard with that corporate element and with the other things. I mean, all of this to backtrack a little bit though, I did want to talk about
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, the unionizing is great to hear.
And the mental health stuff he talked about with the charities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're raising money for Rise Above the Disorder, which is an incredible organization that actually has its roots in World of Warcraft, but makes mental health care accessible and affordable for people worldwide. So definitely check it out, yourrad.org, if you don't know that. But all that to say, circling back a little bit, I actually am really glad you brought up the ESO Studio update while we talk about the Guild Wars 2 Studio update, because I do think it's interesting this time of year to see these comparisons between how different studios, like what they're looking at for next year, right? What are they looking at as something that's important for them to do? What are they looking at in, the scope of what they're going to be bringing to the table, and how each game envisions what's possible in our current day, age, technology, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, ESOs was really interesting. I was even talking this morning, because ESO and Guild Wars 2, I think, have some of the most comparable player experience right now. Sure. Even the systems of weapon swapping and building out your classes and all that kind of stuff is very similar in many ways. World exploration, although the questing system that you mentioned, I am obsessed with ESO side quests. I love them. I think they're so great. But like you said, I think we had gotten to the point with ESO where it was so formulaic that it very rarely had moments of excitement and like, this is something new. What is this? Like, to the point even where, in every single different new zone, you'd have something like, we have metas and event chains in Guild Wars 2, but those always bring you generally something different. It might be a different challenge. It might be a slightly different formula. You might have lanes. You might have one boss. You might have all these different portions. They might experiment and do that PvE world versus world format, right? Like all sorts of stuff like that. Whereas in ESO, almost always you'd have like the world events and it'd just be like, here's a pearl and there's a bunch of enemies and you have to smash it. Here's this group of enemies and you have to kill them. It was just it was geysers, it was pearls, it was whatever it was, right? Like it's just the exact same sort of copy paste. And I think after a while that got repetitive. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do, because I think there is a big chance that given the framework of their game, as they look to innovate or polish up combat, I have a feeling they're going to look really strongly to Guild Wars 2. I would not be surprised at all if we see them drawing pretty heavily from Guild Wars 2 systems because it's the closest. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do with their revamp and all of that. And
It's
or
funny,
if if Guild Wars 2 will draw from them. I don't know.
I've had we actually had a bunch of ESO streamers coming over to the Guild Wars 2 director, and I was sitting in there because they knew that I was in the Guild Wars 2 partner program, and they were like, I haven't played this much, and as we know, Cash and Jibs, who do the Guild Wars 2 podcast, the Tyria, oh god, every single time the name of the podcast, you should go watch it. Legends of Tyria, is it called Legends of Tyria? I can't remember what it's called. Good lord. But anyway, the guys from there came from ESO. They actually went to New World, and they've got different podcasts and different MMORPGs. So they're great guys. I'll try and link it in the description. I think I mentioned this last week, but they came over as well, and they're all very, very surprised because people just, Guild Wars 2 doesn't put itself out there in the best way possible a lot of the time. So, which is unfortunate because, it's always been a fun time.
Legends of Tyria. There you go.
It is
Yeah,
Legends
you got
of Tyria.
it.
Okay, cool. So they're great guys. Yeah, if you can go and watch their podcast, they stream a little bit here and there. They're both dads. They're both just like, probably I think they're about my age, or so, around 40 or so, and they're just like, they're pretty cool guys. They kind of sit there with their whiskey and chat like old dads about and they're not old. I'm not saying you're old.
Boomer gamers.
No. They're not boomers as well. They're not. I'm pretty sure Jibs is younger than me. But they're really nice guys. I've had them on a podcast of mine own on I used to do a podcast called The New Companions, because you call the companions when you go through the game originally. And that was really, really great. So we had those guys on, and I haven't spoken to them for a while. I might have to get them on. But it is interesting. I think they are definitely the closest MMOs to each other for sure. I'm hoping they can pull it together because they're not having a good time. It doesn't feel like a lot of the players are having a good time over there at the moment. I know the story is always good. The story is never the problem, like you say. And I know we're not talking about ESOs today, but it's interesting to talk about other MMOs in relation to Guild Wars 2. But yeah, it's just the same stuff, like you say. And I think it's the opposite. With Guild Wars 2, sometimes we'd like a little bit more stability, right? Like a little bit of that, but still the same kind of surprisingness, because I think there was always this thing which Mo said, which always ticked me off royally, was this surprise and delight factor. And I was like, it's 2022, it's 2020, it's the 2000s. No one gives a crap about being surprised and delighted that much that they don't know what's going on. That's not a good excuse. Thankfully, that mentality seems to have dissipated quite fast since taking over of Josh and more so Colin as well. So I'm really glad that mentality is gone, because good lord, that was out of touch. It was just not good.
it is, right? Because I mean, like the blog post has said, they've done a lot to even begin to address that this year, which we'll talk about even more in that, Guild Wars 2 2022 recap kind of episode that we'll be doing soon. But I mean, there is, I think, we realize that surprise and delight is a major factor of games, but at the same time, you need to reliably know what you are investing yourself in. You need to know that the things that you care about will come back in some way, shape, or form. And I think this addressing of communication, these more regular updates, information, all of those things have helped give a greater sense of surety. And we have seen, right, they have stuck with strikes. We're getting them regularly. We have had these releases that have been paced, very well, I think. So we are seeing more of that. Whereas you're right, with ESO, it's been interesting because I think they went far too hard into that, where some of the surprise and delight and innovation, although we got things like the new card game and those kinds of systems, which have been great, but much of the actual, zones, maps, major mechanics of the game haven't necessarily been updated. And much like we saw Guild Wars 2 having to address this year, Guild Wars 2's problem has never been that the combat isn't smooth, isn't fun, and it isn't engaging, because it has always been that, right? Whereas ESO, I think, has struggled more with that, but rather discussions about balance, discussions about, how do we create engaging encounters when we really truly don't have a trinity? How do we kind of, make use of all these different tools in our kit and or narrow down to very specific ones that we want to become, cornerstones of our combat and things. Whereas ESO has kind of been the opposite, in the sense that they have a very similar combat system. and class building, but they over time decided, well, we are going to really go more into each class having a holy trinity kind of build that they do: tank, healer, DPS. We're going to have combat that is, let's just be real, clunky to start. Like, it's been ESO combat. The huge thing about it has been that most of the challenge for players came with animation canceling, which it turns out is just not fun and not smooth to build an entire combat system around. Guild Wars 2 has much more interesting layers of complexity that is not just about how can I cheese my casts and stuff, to just like how can I clip different animations just to goof it so I can get more stuff. It's these other systems that are more complex, more layered, more engaging, more interesting. So while both of these studios have had different issues perhaps in regards to their balance or mechanical kind of components, both studios, we do see, are taking a look, as we get into games that are of this age, right, at how do we continue to streamline, how do we continue to improve on the good and cut out the bad. I had someone this morning in stream literally say to me, after the 100th time of these mechanics issues in ESO and logging in to find all my champion points completely wiped again, so I had to spend an hour rebuilding them, I just decided I was going to play Guild Wars 2, and I started Guild Wars 2. It's
that is a really wax. Like, that system is so wild. I'm like, I don't want this to be an ASO like critical podcast, but that they need some accessibility changes, because I think they've pandered to a few different people, and sometimes who aren't really the general player base, and they should be encouraging to play their game, because their game is great. Their game is fantastic. If you're ever gonna, RenaNet partner, but if you're ever gonna play an MMO, like, ESO is gold. It's one of those ones I love. I love very much, but I like a lot of MMOs. There's New World as well, with a lot of big changes they had. There's a bunch, and we'll do some. I'll get these lot on, and we'll talk about MMOs in general, because actually thinking about it, MMO show wise, like, the two other people who are here right now play a lot of other MMOs as well, so they'll probably be on it. But yeah, okay, let's go on over to I feel like this is a conversation we could definitely go into more for sure, and it's interesting to think about where other MMOs are at this point of the year, because I think Guild Wars 2 has just had so much. If you get, just go through that studio update, there's the Steam release, the expansion, everything they've gone through, and that's just, they're two tiny things of this year. The redo of the story and the season, World v World, really changing so many systems, and they had massive changes in, just who's working there as well, like who's at the top. So even going through that change, because I think Josh Davis said he's been there officially for a year as well, which is ridiculous to think about. So I remember we were talking about it, I think, on the podcast, and it happened. They announced it while we were doing the podcast, and it was like, whoa, this is so good. I remember that still. So that was really, really exciting. So to go through that kind of transition during that time as well, I think is actually really, really huge, because that changes a lot of how you envisage how you're going to put things out into the world, how you're going to go ahead in future, and just talking about communication and keep reiterating on that all the time. It was really, really impressive, and it was good stuff. Hopefully it keeps going. There's still definitely some stuff that needs looking at Guild Wars 2 wise. We've talked about in the past, but there is no MMO and there is no game without their faults, or not faults, but their things that they can think about doing a little bit differently sometimes to engage their players in different ways, which would be advantageous. But to be honest, this was a pretty good thing that happened. We're going to move on, shifty there over to the MMORPG 2022 Player Choice Awards, where Guild Wars 2 got a little bit of a bumper up here. So there's loads of stuff they do. Oh god. I would just scroll down on the page, and then it's 2022's Player's Choice biggest disappointment: Diablo Immortal microtransaction.
Yes, correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to oh god,
I don't know. I don't understand why people wouldn't want to spend £36,000 getting everything in the game. I mean, it's cheap at twice the price, right? I mean, come on.
Again, that's Blizzard, so I was just like, that's another one of my issues. But like, there was some loads of other stuff that was just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff they They do. If you don't know what MMORPG.com is, they've been around since the dawn of time, covering MMORPGs. But they also started realizing that they had to cover other stuff, and there's like survival MMO because of how I'm technically qualified as that. So they got an award. There was an ARPG of the Year award. Went to like Lost Ark, even though it's kind of technically an MMORPG as well.
And pay to win, just putting that out.
Loads of different things. And there's like MMO Mobile of the Year was like Black Desert. Most improved MMO of the Year was like Black Desert as well, which is random. I don't get that, but anyway. And then most anticipated was like Riot's upcoming MMO, which doesn't even have a name and is not Ashes of Creation. Actually kind of glad that something else got mentioned there. Then there was the 2022 Player's Choice Indie MMO of the Year, which was Temtem, which came back, which is basically Pokemon.
What is even happening with Temtem? I need to do a whole deep dive on that because I played Temtem when it came out, and then I heard about one update, and then I have never heard a single thing about Temtem ever since.
I've got it.
What even? I liked it,
so
but like.
Yeah, everyone was running around playing it, and we were playing it, and I was like, I just kind of stopped, and I didn't really realize that it'd been updated at all. So thank you for that. RPG of the Year was Elden Ring. I mean, I think that was pretty damn good.
I saw a lot of very interesting debate. Not that we need to go deep into it on this podcast, but I saw a lot of very interesting debate about what qualifies. Because in a few other awards that Elden Ring took this year, discussions about narrative RPG as an award category, and debates about where we draw those lines of what does or doesn't qualify as a narrative in our games. And while that doesn't necessarily apply directly to things like MMOs, I do think that is a really interesting discussion in the realm of MMORPGs, because how different MMOs deliver their narrative is as varied as any other game, right? And can you tell a narrative purely through side quests, through items you've gathered? Can you tell a narrative purely through cinematic cutscenes? What qualifies a quality narrative and an intriguing or immersive storytelling experience? I think is something that is definitely worth discussing, especially with MMOs. But the Elden Ring sparked a lot of debate about that because of its unconventional storytelling.
I like it. For example, have you ever heard of a game called Unpacked?
Yes.
Unpacking.
Right. So Unpacked. It's a little indie game where you unpack a person's belongings into their room, to their new house. They go to college. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. I was like, Unpacked? Is this another one?
Sorry.
I'm playing that now.
Sorry. Apologies.
Maybe it is Unpacked now. I don't know.
It tells a person's whole life story, the state of their relationship, everything, just by where you can and can't place their clothes and how their stuff is, and it's brilliant environmental storytelling. And I don't feel like that should necessarily be disadvantaged. I think it's one of the purest forms of storytelling because it requires no words. It's universal, right?
It was ridiculous. It's a ridiculously good, like for mental health, like stuff as well. Like it was impactful. Like, and you can pick up things that maybe other people don't pick up on because of just your own situation and stuff. And it's like, that game was. The thing is with these kinds of awards is it is kind of the big games as well that people have like massively heard of, and they've got a lot of sales and because it's player choice as well, then it's always going to be like. There's always going to be that element as well, right? But you're right about the whole like storytelling, because Elden Ring is more of that Dark Souls kind of really heavy, like skill-based kind of difficulty level. Then with the story on the side, it is a really good story, but there's so many games which cross the realms of so many different different awards and categories, and you're like MMORPG, ARPG / all the things. And it's like Lost Ark won, what was it? Isometric. And it's like, that was the thing they won? Okay, cool. I mean, what was Path of Exile there? I'm pretty sure that is pretty much probably the best one, but okay. So yeah, it's weird. Yeah, we went over the studio update, sorry. We've kind of gone through. You can rewind though, and I'll put this will go out on all the places as well. I'm getting to the most important thing though, and if anyone does want to keep talking about that, we can do that as well. I'm loving this very general podcast about things, about just gaming. And I definitely need to do that in general on a weekly. I can't. There's only so much time in the day, Daniel. Jesus Christ. The most important one, of course. MMORPG 2022 Player's Choice MMORPG of the Year was Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. Runner-up, Final Fantasy Endwalker. Interesting. What do we think?
Very.
Babes?
I actually loved this. One, because I mean, all these games get their chance to shine, right? There are arguments anybody can make about why, for them personally, there might be a game that is their MMORPG of the year. But what I loved about this was the player's choice component, because I do think that 14, you all know I play 14 all the time. I love 14. But in many ways, I feel like Guild Wars 2 is a game that for many years has been, for those who play it and love it, the player's choice every single pick, because it is a game that has always been made for the players. It is a game that has always been made, even in the parts of its time where maybe it struggled with communication or it struggled with advertising or it struggled with whatever. Guild Wars 2 has always been an MMO that to me feels the most, this is going to sound weird, not that we're kissing on Guild Wars 2, but like the most intimately connected to its players, in that like
Absolutely,
14
though.
Yeah, but like 14 is made by Square Enix. It's a huge behemoth of a company. And while they do a lot to make it feel like, you know, we recognize Yoshi P, we love Yoshi P, we have great community teams, we have all these things. There has always kind of, I think, been that corporate, that it's still there, you know, like it's there and it's Square Enix and it's a big presence that in and of itself feels less for the players, even though they care a lot about their player base, and more so something that is this like unknowable entity. Whereas Guild Wars 2 to me has always very much felt, from the devs who hang out in our chats, to the opportunities to see into the studio, hear from people, talk to people, to the just like very down to earth back and forth, to the way the game has designed so many elements to serve the players and be a positive experience, and accessible to players in many ways, even just from, like account wide conveniences to all sorts of other things, to, you know, respecting your time, your energy, your money. All of those things, I think, to me, do make this a game for the people, by the people, in a sense, kind of, you know, that even we see community members like Roy, who literally just has been hired by ArenaNet, to Josh, who started out as a creator for Guild Wars 2, who now is a huge hand in the studio.
Now it's the director. It's so true. You're absolutely right. He's the director. Like he is like, I mean, he's a young guy as well. Like, he's not like, you know, he's a young guy. Like, I'm older than Josh, and I'm not giving away people's ages, but I'm older than him. And like, but like, you know, that is huge. Like, he was literally a commentator, like I was back in the day. Like, he made this show with all the devs, and it was called it was Say of the Game, and it was just him talking to the devs, like once a week, once every other week on stream, and yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, you're so right about that. But I think another thing which you're kind of mentioning as well is things like LGBTQIA plus, like, you know, themes in the game, and like being very communicative about that, and talking and being out loud and I'm proud about it on Twitter and stuff, you know, talking about issues sometimes, and, you know, talking about Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, stuff that Square Enix, and, you know, because of that, the region where the game is from as well, there's a lot of still, you know, how do we talk about this from them, and they're not able to, I think, cultural, whatever you want to say, the reasons why, and they're starting to do better, but, you know, they're not doing as well as ArenaNet. Like, I don't think anyone is doing as well as ArenaNet, and they're getting better, hopefully and thankfully, but, like, you know, they're trying to recognize different people within the community that play their game. And I think that's such an important thing for what you're saying, like connectivity, and even access as well, honestly.
I think the most impressive part is that they've done this from day one. Day one, from the original personal stories that you play through. day one, they have represented all the people in their community and their stories. And World of Warcraft has now got one that I can think of off the top of my head, front and center gay couple. They're not a main character. They've got nothing to do with the story. They're a side quest NPC, a couple of married guys. It's lovely. It's sweet. They have a lovely, sweet interaction. It's very nice. I like it. It's great. You do have gay players. Welcome to the world, you know. But, shocking. Oh my goodness. But yeah, they've been doing this since they launched. And I have so much respect for them for that, because they've decided to put their morality before profit, I think, and that is incredibly rare.
Yeah.
True, so true. But yeah, congrats to Guild Wars 2 on the awesomeness that is the award of. I mean, it's pretty good. MMORPG have been around for a long time, and that's a big deal. A lot of people still do read sometimes. I know that I don't much, but like they do read websites still, and in reviews and stuff. Especially people like me who've always been around for like, you know, the MMORPG.com since they were a wee lad. Not true, because the internet wasn't very popular when I was a wee lad, but like, you know, as things started to go on in time. But ever since I've started playing MMORPGs, it feels like they've been around. So it's actually a pretty big deal. In my opinion, and it's voted by the people as well, you know, so I'd be interested to see how many people did vote on that, actually, honestly. And really, you're a cheeky bugger. I am older than most people. It's true, very true. Yes, other than that, I think we're going to go and play some Wintersday stuff, unless anyone wanted to talk about anything else from the studio update, or also from the Guild Wars 2 thingy magic.
There was one thing,
sure,
which is that for those of you who don't know, so we're about to play Wintersday, and there is a lot of fun stuff to do during the Wintersday holiday here in Guild Wars 2. But they did actually announce this year that they added in some more rewards.
Yes.
So that's the thing that they talked about here in one of the blog posts that Ruby posted up. So they talked about the fact that the annual Wintersday Tradition meta achievement has been updated with a new armor reward, the Wintersday Snow Boots. And you also can get last year's meta achievement reward, the embellished Wintersday gift bag purchased from the Charity Corsair Festival rewards vendor. They also talked about a new Snowdrift weapon set that's available, and you can earn progress toward completing annual Wintersday Tradition meta achievements to receive a weapon of your choice from that new set. And then there's other tradable weapons and things that you can get in the actual Wintersday gifts. There are 3 new weapons that are available, as well as rare drops from those Wintersday gifts, and you can purchase them from Sparkling Stone in Divinity's Reach 2. They added 2 new miniatures offered by the Charity Corsair Festival rewards vendor, new winter-themed guild decorations, and then they fixed a couple little bug things that kind of caused some problems in previous parts of this. So I thought all of that was worth noting as well, whether you're a new player trying Wintersday for the first time, or you're looking like, hey, is there any reason that I should do Wintersday again this year? They did add new rewards to it, so there's new skins and new things for you to get.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
The couple of the new skins are specifically themed to Grinth and Dwayna. So if you're a fan of the old gods, there's a great sword for Grinth and a warhorn for Dwayna, which has a very kind of interesting
where are
animation.
They? I'm in the game now, so you can. Is there a vendor like that's around that you can have a look at?
It is the Coden vendor in Divinity's Reach. If you want to go and have a look at it.
Awesome! I'm gonna have a look at that personage, the Coden. Did you say the Coden one?
Coden, yeah.
Oh, they're all humans wearing the same thing. We could give a bash to a couple of the events. Oh, actually, there's the present thing with the. Oh, it's just ended. Okay, the code in there. The answers lie hidden around. Oh, hello. What is that? That's epic. Again, not that I enjoy these skins in terms of like wearing them and using them in the game, but to collect, and that's just pretty cool. Like the soldier kind of. I know that might take a minute for you to see where I am on your screens, but on Fornax, I've invited you to the party. Okay, you must accept my invitation.
Yep.
Yes, you're fine. But that is pretty cool. The nose is specifically large on that one. Oh, and then they've got got these, I guess, Christmas tree kind of themed like bows and stuff. Call of cheer. Oh, I like that actually. Oh yeah, these are very different. These are cool. The candy cane hammer. Oh no, that is new because there is a candy cane hammer, but it's not this one. It's got the little loop at the end. Oh, they're quite fun. Oh,
Yeah,
the Dwayne one is well good. What? The Warhorn?
It's got a snow globe element to it, doesn't it? But it's kind of like gothic-y classical. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, there's there's the little people. Yeah, there's a lot of detail on that, honestly.
I think there's a mini corgi and a mini calico cat as well that are new. If you come over to me, yeah, hang on. I've targeted the NPC.
Okay,
if you wanna, yeah.
That Gremph Greysword is brilliant as well.
Yeah,
oh my
they're
god!
really
Wait,
good.
what's the currency for this? Snow diamonds. How many do you need for that? Oh, okay. I should have been farming this event. I've only got one. Oh god.
I think they're about 7 or 8 gold each. So if you really wanted it, you could put your hand in your pocket.
Do those just drop? Did the snow diamonds drop out of the Wintersday gifts? Are they? Actually, I'm not sure.
I've had a couple of drops because I was doing some stuff with my guildies this on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a chance drop in the gifts in the Wintersday presents.
Look at the detail on the corgi though. Look at the detail on all the things. I feel like their game is being upped here with the tech maybe. I don't know, but corgi is great.
It looks like it goes to the gym though, doesn't it? It looks like swole.
But corgis kind of look like that though. Like other than I think it's because there's a lot of separation in parts, so it looks like it's more muscly than it should be. But like that kind of, I think its legs are actually a bit too long for a corgi as well. There's a little bit, proportions are a little bit weird.
You should get that because you liked the Queen, didn't you? So you could have your own corgi.
Well, I had a corgi. I had a corgi with my ex-wife.
Did have a corgi.
We had one. He passed away earlier in the ship, but like he was like, it's okay. He was, his time, and poor guy. But like I do have some of the corgis. I think somewhere. Like let's compare. Let's compare the corgis. I'm pretty sure maybe I don't have one. Oh god, I've got the mini Rottweiler right now. So like it's definitely dog focused. Let's have a look at the cat. Oh, the cat looks good as well.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Oh.
You have to love the rigging in this game. Some of the games don't do it quite so well, but the rigging in these games is exquisite, and it just gives creatures so much life. The way that they animate them, it's amazing.
But there is this festive winter herd? I've not seen that before. I think the sweater was from last year. I can't remember, but it looks like there's a few different rewards that I've not seen. Bear in mind, I don't take part in the events as much as I used to, but there does seem to be more rewards, which is good.
Just stoked that they've added new things because I haven't done this festival in a long time because it's just there's nothing new for me to farm.
Absolutely.
And I'm a bit greedy. I'm like reward focused, shall we say?
I mean, we're MMORPG players. What do you want?
Yeah.
This is actually what we do. Like they've always had these weapons. These weapons have been around since the dawn of time. The little slingshot and princess wand and that kind of stuff. But then, they added like some other awards in some of the other festivals, and they kind of like, they're okay. Like Festival of the Four Winds and whatnot. There was a few rewards there that were okay, but they were kind of just like. They didn't look great. They were just felt kind of budgety, they were like they were just kind of fancy-ish. But these are actually some top tier kind of like, ooh, okay. It's just how we get those. And if anyone in chat wants to Rudolph Mountskin, I mean that would have been cool. If anyone in chat wants to tell us like about the diamonds, how you do accumulate them, of course this can be a little bit of a. Oh, here you go. So it's just like snow diamonds. You get them from snowflakes. Okay. So you can buy the snowflakes as well, and you can buy the snow diamonds. I guess you.
So they're actually selling gathering tools as well, called Frostbitten, which I think harvest snowflakes. So it's there you go.
I think I have those somewhere. Frostbitten. Aren't they the ones where you could get there were loads of those, wasn't there? That you could get them we could just buy them for ages. Where is that? And I need to go to my guild bank and my actual bank and just double check, because I think I've actually got some of those. Ooh. And then what do you want to do? Do you want to do like should we do an instance, or we need a couple more people from chat, I reckon, as well. Ooh. If you're on NA service. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Got to tell
well, the snowman strike mission is up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, let's definitely do that. Any Lightbringers in the chat want to join us for the? We can get an instance to go in as well for sure, easily. What are they called? They called the. Oh, I wonder if I put them on another character. Frostbitten, is it? I think I definitely have those. Yeah, I do have the older ones. Cool. And you can get snow thingies from them. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it does look like otherwise snowflakes and things you can get in those presents, which you can collect around the open world, or you can get from doing the activities and things. And then if you open them up, you have a chance to get them as well, and then you can convert snowflakes into diamonds, or if you just get the diamond drops, you can also have those too. So
nice. Yes, yeah, I had loads of them back in the day, and I was going to get rid of them, and then we were like, yeah, Jebro's not going to get rid of anything anyway, so I'm a champion person of keeping things. Okay, let's get some people going for this raid then. It's not difficult, peeps. It's not going to be difficult to do, and if you want to join the strike yourself, you can easily get in those LFGs as well. If anyone in the chat wants to join us, we're going to be in the guild, in the Lightbringers guild in the game. You can come and join us. But like generally, like Wednesday, how do you feel about the event previous years? Like Fawn actually said some stuff about, you know, how it's not always had a massive amount of stuff. What is this person wearing? Oh, they are very famed. Sorry, I'm going to keep the camera on that. But like, how we feel about this event in the past and how it's going now? How do you feel about it?
I was going to say, I think that. I mean, I've been playing this game for a long time, and it's not that there's anything wrong with the seasonal events. It's just, you know, been there, done that. So I need an extra carrot to get me into this content. But once I'm in it, I'm happy. It's fun. It's beautifully done. It's always brilliant. There's always lovely things to do. So I think it's great, and I think it's especially great for new players who have just arrived in the game to see this like fantastic transformation and all these weird and wonderful and completely unique jumping puzzles and like player versus player environments to have a mess around in. I think it's great.
Awesome.
I agree. I mean, it is one of those things where I think no matter what, in any game, if it has a repeatable holiday festival, you will eventually repeat it to the point where you are done, you know, or you're just going, I don't really need to do that. That's how pretty much every MMO handles it. I think the only exception I can think of is that Final Fantasy XIV does like unique quests for each holiday, but sometimes they introduce some new fun mini game that's really great. Sometimes they are completely unremarkable and it's this little tiny throwaway quest that you're just like, whatever. And the reward changes every year. So their incentive to do it is that, well, if you want that reward for free, you have to do the event each year, because otherwise you'll have to pay for it on the cash shop. And it's usually very cheap on the cash shop the next year, but you will have no other way of getting it except for through the cash shop after that. So there's that. Then there's WoW, which just does the exact same events over and over and over and over. And when I played, I was like, this is my first year doing it, and I'm bored.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so usually I think has different seasonal rewards that are part of their bigger scheme for rewards you can earn that year. So a lot of times you get these tickets, or you have other things that you then use to upgrade items, which is cool because I do think it incentivizes you to look at the game more as a year-long a year-long thing to earn bigger prizes that are seasonal just for that year, but can also be like really disheartening when you come into it halfway through the year and you're like, I've missed half the events. Can I even upgrade my stuff? How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to get the tickets for this? I really want this, but I don't even know, unless I just do nothing except for this, can I even achieve it? Which is frustrating in its own right. So when you look at like all of those different styles of events, I actually think Guild Wars 2 is the perfect happy medium of all of them. You have a permanent event that has a ton of really fun stuff to do. Periodically, they add some new mini game, new thing, like the strike mission, which came out not too long ago, and was kind of like a precursor to what we would see as modern day strikes now. Like, you get new things, you get new rewards, but you also have these big long-term achievements to work towards, but you're not missing out. Every year you have the chance to be able to earn the things you want to earn, and then earn even more things when they add stuff in, or, you know, new rewards or prizes. So I actually love how Guild Wars 2 handles the events. Do I always feel the like driving need to do it and grind it? No, but I also think it's fun, and I usually do something from the events at least once a year, or group up with people, or just for the season have fun, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right. I think Wintersday is actually the one event as well. There's a couple I really do enjoy. And yeah, this is one of them. I think the jump puzzle is we got a few people in chat as well who are kind of plus up. If you want to do /join Jebro.6370 in chat as well, that's my account in game, then you can also do that. But yeah, absolutely. Like when they added the strike, it was the first strike, wasn't it? Like I think someone mentioned that as well. It was the first actual strike they put in the game as well, like a mini test, and it's not massively difficult as well, which is a really good way to get people involved. So that coming back is great. Yeah, it's been I really like the PvP part of this as well. Is really fun because you all get you get different roles that you can play and different abilities. We'll jump into that as well. But yeah, the jump puzzle, definitely jumping into that. I wish I can share your I hope maybe that Rook did that earlier and did fantastically well, obviously. Yeah, you did or didn't give it a best,
I have in previous years completed all the difficulties of the Wintersday jump puzzle. I have done it. I have not done it yet this year, but actually what's so funny is that I just today got my 5-year birthday gift.
Oh, nice!
On this my original character. Yeah, so I started at Wintersday, and I think I actually tried the jump puzzle that first year, which was a huge mistake, but I made it through, kind of, maybe. I think I didn't. Wow. I think I did not complete it the first year.
You started during Christmas as well? That was wild, actually. That would have been good, because it would have been a lot of people running around and playing as well. So that's good. I'm glad you did 5 years. Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I have a tradition over Christmas. I will pick a game and I will play it. And that's how I started playing Final Fantasy again after The Realm Reborn. I just ignored everyone at Christmas and played Final Fantasy, basically the whole story.
Wow. Amazing. Oh my God.
I am an ass. I am a complete ass, yes.
For a lot of people, that's definitely that's definitely a better choice, to be honest. A lot of people at Christmas definitely aren't having the best time. So if feel like you're forced into family situations that aren't great, I have a massive amount of empathy for that, and sympathy as well.
Laptop
honestly,
on the sofa can save a lot of arguments, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Just eject yourself out of some of those discussions maybe that might be occurring. But yeah, let's go and have a look at the Dolyak that's kind of running around, because look, this is a mini event which I just missed. I don't know if that's just started actually. It looked like it just popped up. I think they've actually changed the... Oh, weird. Okay. Anyone else in the chat want to join us? /squadjoin Jebro.6370. I'm going to put us into LFG as well. I believe they've got some free gifts on the thingy, the trading post as well. Oh, this path is different. They've changed the path. It used to end here. Because you get loads of presents by just following the Dolyak, and they've actually changed the path. It goes up and into Tiffany's Reach now. Oh.
I will say that something that World of Warcraft actually does that I think is quite good to do with its festivals. It has an overarching all-seasonal event whereby you get a specific amount and a title for getting all the achievements in, and I think that's something that keeps people coming back year after year. So I think that's quite good, personally.
Yeah, I like that.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. there's definitely things that I think a lot of games you do sometimes really want them to combine all these things into one like glorious event where you're just like, yeah, this would be cool if I could I don't know, have this thing from this game and this thing from that game and just start playing one game because of dungeons and stuff. Like I play what game do I play for dungeons? I actually don't think I play any game for dungeons. There's more ESO, I think, back in the day. You play veteran dungeons, which are pretty challenging sometimes depending on which one you go for.
My God, if you want a game for dungeons, play Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I did. That's true. I was playing it for a bit for those as well. I think the getting through the story for me is the most difficult part of Final Fantasy 14 because it's a lot of reading, and I'm like, when I went to school. I'm not the biggest reader anyway. So when I went to school, it was like real challenge to read a lot of things all the time. And it was a hell of a lot of reading, more than I've ever done in my life. And then I was like, Final Fantasy 14 at the same time? That's a lot of reading, Jebro. So I'm like, yeah.
Play with me. Play with me, Jebro. I love taking players through the game. I love it. I'm very. I'll voice act with you. We'll keep it interesting in whatever way we can. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm fucking take you up on that. We'll just try and get maybe we'll get the Final Fantasy 14 cast in. I'm sure they'll pop around along as well. Yeah, actually, I would actually enjoy that. That would be good because I love the cutscenes and the story is good. Also, yeah, I've always had a problem with reading. I think, there's some undiagnosed dyslexia, unfortunately, in a lot of my family. A lot of people have dyslexia, and I'm just like undiagnosed, probably. I know we've talked about this before, maybe, but like it's something I should probably get done.
Yeah. As a dyslexic person, I totally agree. It is a barrier to enjoyment. So yeah, it's
I mean,
rough.
that's literally why I started even taking people through. Like I've been playing through with Paul Scott Canavan and Katakemi, both of who have, well, Paul's done like official art for Guild Wars 2, but Katakemi is an ANET creative partner, and she also has dyslexia, and she was like, I literally cannot even, like, my head hurts. I am exhausted just trying to read through all the text. So we were like, let's just YOLO, let's all play it together, and like we can do dumb character voices. And so yeah, I would say like if that's a big barrier, just hit me up anytime. But that also goes for anybody else that has trouble in like 14. Guild Wars 2 is so great in those regards because it is all voiced. It, for the most part, there's like very few lines that aren't, and it's all immersive and it's active and it's on the fly. 14 can be really arduous with that, and also because there are no other customizable text display options for like how it looks, what size it is, where it is, what color. Like you can change some of the interfacing background color stuff, but I've heard that's really been a problem for a lot of people that have tried to get into it. So you're not alone.
Okay.
Yeah, accessibility in games is something that is still kind of burgeoning. It's a burgeoning area where people realize that they do have neuroatypical people playing their games, and there's quite a lot of us, and they need to try and make some accommodations. But I mean, for example, you wouldn't have seen anything to do with color blindness in previous, like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's coming now. So that's. It's going in the right direction. It just takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, accessibility is a huge thing. Like and I understand why it's like that in Final Fantasy 14. They want to put so much story in, they're having so much VO is like, very costly. And at the same time, I'm like, it's Square Enix, so, you must have the money. What's that about? But it was the same with New World as well. Like they didn't VO like everything in the game, and it's like, well, it's actually a time sink. It's huge time sink as well. So I guess I get it. But
whenever anyone asks me about 14, I'll say that it is the best story I have ever experienced. The most like proper, dense, emotional story that I've ever experienced, but it isn't the best delivery.
What, in 14?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
The best story. It's lacking on the delivery, and it's kind of and they don't even, and it's right from the start, and they I think it disadvantages them, and I think I think they would be even more popular if they actually just, for example, voiced everything in the main scenario. Even if they left the side quests, if they just voiced everything in the main scenario, I think that they would have masses more people playing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, there's also been a big discussion about an unvoiced protagonist, which, when you compare that to something like Guild Wars 2, where right from the get-go, they went, we are going to voice all the protagonists, you know, all the voice types, masculine, feminine. We're going to have different unique voices for every single one of the characters. I think that might also be a part of the reason why we haven't seen them add new races in. Oftentimes it's brought up about the like diverging backstories and how like the personal story, they can't, you know, you can't even switch races in the game because it's more limiting and confining, all this kind of stuff. But I don't think as much that it's discussed about the fact that if they were to bring a new race into the game, we'd have to hire all new voice actors for it and then voice every single thing for them moving forward. So it is really unique in Guild Wars 2 that we have that. And I actually loved your assessment on that, Fordax, because I think that Final Fantasy XIV story is one of my all-time favorites. It is so wonderful. But I agree with you in that, especially it's interesting to compare 14's delivery methods of narrative versus Guild Wars 2's, which is all about action immersion storytelling, versus 14's, which is much more verbose, much more narratively dense, much more text-based, much more, there are cutscenes and they've improved more and more and more over time in how they deliver that. And they've put in things like those more action immersive sequences that have gotten more and more elaborate, which is so good, and they need to keep doing that. But you're right, I think it is actually really off-putting to a lot of people, no matter what, about a lot of the dense dialogue, as well as the fact that you as a protagonist, whether or not you care about voicing, the fact that there is like canonically no voice for your character does lead to a lot of moments where you don't even get to like really say something of note, and a lot of times NPCs are the ones making the grand speeches, as opposed to you, the hero. Like, because you just literally in cutscenes are like, anytime anybody says anything, and then you do have dialogue lines you can pick, but again, they're not nearly as robust.
Yeah, I don't know. I find that was kind of incredibly jarring, the fact that you are just silent. But if you look to Guild Wars has a silent protagonist, but because there are generic voice lines that the character says, if you type /silly, for example, you'll tell various different jokes, and there are pickup lines that you can flirt with people in that. People feel like they have a voice, despite the fact that when you're playing through the narrative, you don't say anything, and people don't notice it as much, which is kind of impressive, to be honest. That they've kind of under the table that.
Yeah, I personally have never cared about a voice-acted protagonist. The only thing that I care about is whether or not I am given a robust amount of dialogue lines to pick from. So it's funny to me because I think I grew up playing a lot of games where like nobody was voiced and it was all text. And I'm lucky to be able to process that and not have a problem with it, but I've always loved having a lot of dialogue options. And in the moments when I might make a grand speech, right? Like, I genuinely don't care if I click on something and then whatever dialogue comes out. In some regards, I almost like it better when it is exactly word for word what I see on the screen, as opposed to like, you know, give a rousing speech and then you click it and then you have no idea what your character is about to say, you know? For me, I've always liked having like really old school games where you've got like 10 dialogue options and they couldn't afford to voice everything, but you got way more customization of character choice and variance, and, you know, do you persuade, do you not? And I think we're starting to see Larian Studios carry on a sense of that succession of tradition with Divinity Original Sin 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 that are coming out.
Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing.
I know, but like with
so
some of the voiced element, which is really exciting to see too. So I like the voiced, but unvoiced, I don't care. It doesn't matter too much to me, but it is something where I want to feel like if my character is speaking, the words they say have relevance and or are what I would want to evoke. And I feel like sometimes 14 falls short of that because they just like give all your moments to other people sometimes. Not always. You still get a lot of really good moments, but it feels like it's a weird middle ground. Like you are unvoiced, but also you have dialogue options, but also oftentimes in key moments they just kind of like, everybody's like, ha ha ha, you're the strong silent type, and then they just like skip over you, and it's like, But please let me say something cool.
Okay, we're gonna play through this and give our little kind of impressions of the this strike as we're all kind of in here and ready to go, and we can continue the conversation as afterwards. Is that alright if we kind of react to this and talk about maybe the strike
let's
levels?
do it.
Okay, sound good? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, the Final Fantasy conversation, great, love it. I'm enjoying it as well.
Sorry.
It's okay. we're on a Final Fantasy 14 thing for a while, but it's okay. We do that. We're allowed to. We're enjoying the things. We're talking about the games we love and like and all things and stuff. One thing about the strikes is there is no trash in between. This is the only one where there is, I think, right? I'm pretty sure.
It's almost kind of like a little mini hybrid between a raid and a strike. And this was, like we were talking about, I think the first precursor that we really got to what would be the strike formula, like a little bit of an experiment. In that we have like a little bit of trash, we have a little bit of an area map here with this little like pathway and stuff. But then we actually have what is like the strike boss fight that happens at the end of this bit, so.
That's right, someone did say Cold War, which I always forget doesn't feel like a strike, I think sometimes, because so many people can just go into it in a public way, I guess, sometimes. And I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't actually feel like a strike sometimes because it's just so eventy. But yeah, you're right, Rip. Oh yeah.
Do you guys remember the mechanics for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just about. It's not that challenging, honestly. It feels like you can just muddle through. I've not messed around with the groups or anything because I don't think we need to. And if we do, we can look at it. But we did this last year as a guild, and it was as well. I remember doing it. And
It's super simple, but there's like a protector that you need to kill when it spawns on the main boss, and someone will be marked over their head for a snowball to follow them, which can mess up the group if it's not kited away. And then at the second phase, you get marked with a purple star, and it's a big kind of laser running around, and it's chasing you specifically. So you just have to keep moving and
okay.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
That's the entirety of the difficulty of it.
I think that's it, yeah. And everyone, thank you as well for the raid as well. Peeps coming in. Welcome, peeps. Hello. It's the Lightbringers podcast. You've never been here before and you've come in. We do this pretty much most weeks. We have a bunch of awesome people. Rookery and Crichton Herald, or Fornax is here today with us talking about the things, so make sure you go and check follow to them as well. They will talk in the chat and you should just go to their channel and follow them right now. Just do it, please. Appreciate it. And we talk about Guild Wars 2. Today we've talked about the studio update. Today we've also talked about the MMORPG Player Choice Award for Guild Wars 2, which was given Best MMORPG, like most improved and all the things, which is great. And now we're checking out some Wintersday, and we talked about some of the rewards, and we're just checking out the strike. So this strike is available in Divinity's Reach. There wasn't any LFGs up when I went to put one up, but if you put an LFG up, you could pretty much be a new player 80 and come into this with a bunch of other players, and you could probably get this done if you're worried about getting it done. I think the access to this is pretty... As long as you know how to use the LFG, you're probably fine, right?
Oh yeah,
I think.
It's fairly noddy, yeah. Fine.
You know, it did just dawn on me that this is actually kind of similar to the ice construct strike that has the like jump puzzle. It has that like corridor with the rolling giant like ice ball, snowball, and then it has that jump puzzle. So there is at least one strike that I can think of that has a little bit of a like lead up kind of thing to it, but most of the others have kind of moved towards that one arena sort of thing, one arena, one boss kind of thing. Well, unless it's a boss that has like multiple, you know what I mean? But it's like one boss fight kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I am curious, Fornax and Jeb, would you want to see them add in like a unique strike for each holiday, similar to this one?
Yes.
I think that would be cool. Yeah, I think just a fun little thing where you can get a reward every day would be decent. Like, I mean, that's a lot of strikes. That is a lot. They've got like they've got Chinese New Year coming up soon as well. I'm not soon, but like, you know, that I think that's the next. Actually, I can't remember if that is the next one. Oh God, I just fell in. But Yeah, I think that would be cool. It would be interesting whether or not they could do it. Maybe every other event or something. That might be a lot to do. But if they were like serious like strikes with like actual difficulty and stuff as well, like with a CM, that would be cool. If they wanted to do that in future, but I think they want to maybe do it around the story content, right? But like I think this does add. This is very unique in that. There you go. Well done, whoever remembered the. It was Frezzo who got it. Who's like very mechanically minded, so that was very good.
Keep running, dude. Yep.
So like you'll get. What do you get? Do you get it above your head or something?
It
Giant
tells you a
snowball.
giant
Oh,
snowball is chasing.
It's
Yeah,
not
look,
Fornax,
it's above mine.
There you
Yeah.
go.
You
Fornax
got to
is
just
the
get out of
interest.
the group so you don't murder everybody.
The snowball just goes right through in the middle of the raid there.
Oh, shit.
No, that was funny. It was just funny. It was just the way out.
You're welcome, guys. Yeah.
Thanks for an axe. Appreciate it.
It's
gonna be
my
fine.
incompetent.
And now it's
We're
someone
still
else.
alive.
I think, yeah, there you go. Good job. Yeah, like I said, like I don't think even that's it's not meant to be like this difficult thing, right? And with the power creep and damage, like this is just okay, Quark, honestly. So you'll easily be able to get this done, peeps. If you're newer players, like 80. I wonder if it.
Heart's gonna pop
Sure.
out, and we have to throw snowballs at it.
Oh right, yeah, that isn't it. That's right. Yeah, okay, good.
That's it. I remember this.
And you have to
Honestly,
kill snowman to pick up the.
Right. Oh, we have to throw a snowball at the frozen heart.
Yeah, so you
Okay.
have to kill the snowman outside, and then you pick up and you kill the heart. And
Excellent. I'm glad we're throwing snowballs at people's hearts and stuff.
honestly, I was
So I
gonna
like to spin
say
my-
if they don't end up like retroactively going through various other story beats and adding in some kind of strike mission version of them, right? So
Yeah.
I think Kroof at one point had suggested, well, what if they did a strike mission version of something like the pivotal fights, you know, when you have your big pivotal moments, or they reworked something into like a strike mission format for Zaitan's fight, or things like
yeah.
that, where you could have a more interesting version of it that would also like introduce strike missions as a fundamental cornerstone of PvE content earlier on for players. And now obviously we do have that because Living World Season 1 culminates in that really excellent strike mission. But I actually feel like if they did put something like little strike missions in for the holidays, that would also be another way that new players would immediately be guided to them and immediately experience something like this. Because as we go through this, I'm thinking, oh, what a great little way to introduce some little mechanics, like telling you that somebody has been targeted for something, which you see in raids, which you see in, or like, you know, to have this death wall that goes around, but that is, you know, slower and more visually distinctive than Sabbatha's like flamethrower, or these kinds of things where I think, again, it's teaching good kind of fundamental basics. And I bet a lot of new players do end up trying some of these things. So it'd be a way to not have to like redesign story stuff, but I think still implement more of these.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we had that conversation, didn't we? I think we all kind of suggested it in one way, shape, or form. It's definitely, absolutely agree. I would like to see that for sure. I wonder if they'll go back first, or if they'll go in future stuff rather than the past events, if they're bringing out like new story content and stuff. I'm wondering about that actually. It's one way of like restoring. We kind of get into the review of Guild Wars 2 maybe a little bit, but that's okay. Like I don't know, it would be good to get a mix of like new content, boss strikes, but also old stuff, like you say, like, you know, maybe rejigging the original story fight and changing it into a strike, so there's a bit of connection to that and people don't have a bit of a better memory of that stuff. That wouldn't be cool. I'd be up for that for sure. I like that idea. Yeah, absolutely. This is still fun, honestly. Like doing this once a year, it's just funny. Just like he's not actually bad. It's just like he's been. I can't remember what the story is for this. But...
We've got 5 minutes remaining, so we might get wiped in a second. Just say.
Wait, what? No.
There's a timer on it. There
We
is a
got
pretty
this.
harsh timer on it, if I remember.
He got this, so they're fine. He's at 80% now. If we need to really worry about it and think about it, we'll pull out some. We'll actually bring a proper build. I think we're on track
Oh, here we
anyway.
go. Yeah, here's the final phase. Which
Oh
is
god, this
fairly
part's
awful.
spicy.
Oh, this is good. This is good. I like it.
And you've got the icy floor. My gosh.
Yeah, man.
Hooray.
What the flip? So rude.
It got a little spicier than, I mean, it definitely does have some little mechanics to learn in
For
this
sure,
one.
For sure.
Oh, protectors up. Fudge, 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 fudge.
I'm trying. We got it.
Shirt balls. Shirt balls.
We're okay.
Can
We got
you
this.
dodge roll through this wall? Is it as punishing as flamethrower?
No,
I
it's
actually don't
not.
remember.
You can
Okay.
walk for it. I was literally standing in
Okay.
it for a second. Yeah, you take
Okay.
damage, but it's okay. It's not as unforgiving, thankfully.
Yeah, don't stand on the cracks though.
Or you'll fall and break your back. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, shirt ball. Oh, fudge.
You get so emotional in these games.
I love Fornax's shirt balls fudge.
Trying not to swear, and it's like you swear anyway.
Oh, crap.
Wait. Oh no, we're going down. Uh-oh. Oh no, I'm outside. What do we have to do now?
Die.
Oh no, wait, I think we're done.
Are we done? I'm dead.
There's
Resin.
the heart's up, right? The heart's up right now.
Yeah, we've got to throw snowballs at the heart.
Balls at the heart, people. Balls at the heart.
Balls straight to the heart.
Yes. Oh dear.
We've got to.
Hey! Good job, everyone. And then he apologizes. Sorry for being such a jerk.
My bad.
I love it. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh no, it's throwing snowballs at people as well. Okay, fine. Make sure you get your loot peeps as well.
It's just an ice elemental with a snowman's head stuck to it.
Yeah, it's
I
wicked.
think there is an achievement for throwing snowballs at other players in the arena afterwards. I don't remember what it is exactly, but I think there is one, if I'm remembering.
Oh wow, if you throw one at him, he throws it back. I didn't realize that. What, in here?
I think so. I don't remember how many you have to do, but maybe chat can confirm or deny.
I know there's
think
a
there
daily
is
for one outside of here. This.
Maybe I'm wrong.
it's
Maybe
just
I'm wrong.
I don't know. There's definitely, you have to throw them at people for sure in the dailies. I'm not sure about him. I think someone's going to tell us in chat. Watch.
I think this and the strike missions, when you talk about the kind of revamping and overhauling of the studio, and you were talking about how ESO was focusing on one type of player group, I think that these kind of strike missions represent the shift of focus for ArenaNet to kind of privilege less organized group play or less intensively organized group play. Which I think is something that a lot of MMOs are doing. They're shifting so that people can not have to have that like 30-man guild that's available every Saturday to do this,
absolutely.
that, and the other. And yeah, I think it's a real shift in the ethos, and I think it privileges dirty casual players like me.
But in a positive way, honestly, right? Because we all want to have something to do in this game, right? We all want to be able to run stuff. You mentioned 14's dungeons earlier, Fornax, and one of the things that I do think is great about them is that, Jeb, I actually like ESO's dungeons a ton because they have those different iterations of difficulty, and the mechanics and things can significantly change, and there's interesting stories and little bosses, and there's even like narrative that goes on during them, which can sometimes be annoying if it's your first time you're trying to run with randos, but can also be really fun if you just go in with like a friend, because most of the normal modes you really don't need to have a full group and you can still get through a lot of things, right? I think that's one area that in Guild Wars 2 we did see lacking a little bit, because there are metas which are very accessible to players. There are low-level fractals, which are smaller scale PvE content. But for a while, that gap of like before strikes, or right around the time that strikes were just initially starting, there was this gap of, okay, well, if I am a more casual player, and I don't want or don't have 10 people to go in to do a raid. And granted, there are some boss fights you can do with less than 10, you know, right? But it depends on the skill level of the players, the gear of the players, all kinds of different things. And most people aren't just going to be like, hey, well, me and my 2 friends want to go in and try something, right? So one area that I think has kind of been a gap for Guild Wars 2 has been that more relaxed, sometimes narratively rewarding, sometimes just general gear rewarding, kind of instanced group PvE content. And so to see them experimenting with things like this little mini snowman strike, which they kind of put in there and dabbled with, even into what we would later get with like the normal strikes, that has given players something to run that at the very least, while maybe they can't just take like one friend in, it is more of a like generalized, oh, hey, well, I can still do strikes, or I can do the ones from the Icebird Saga, or I can go in and do this and still get rewards and things. And it gives you at least something else to do. And I think that's still one area that they can keep expanding on, because fractals are great. But again, I don't really think they take the place of instance dungeon content that we see in so many other MMOs. They don't come out frequently enough. They aren't really connected to the direct story.
No. Yeah, they do. That's something that I wanted to talk about for sure. Like in the future, it does feel very disconnected and very like, you know, it's cool, but you would like to see it kind of be like a bit more like strikes, like to do with the story. And still think, yeah, fractals are an interesting one. Always been an interesting one where I'm like, I don't engage with them as much as I do in other games with their dungeons, and I don't know why. And also, why am I dying here? What's going on? I'm in the jump puzzle, giving it a bash. It's gonna be fine. I'll do it first time. But we could try the PvP one. Also, we could try a 5-player instance as well. I don't want to keep these peeps really long today. It is Sunday. But why am I dying? Like, why am I currently dying? Please don't hurt me.
Welcome to the jump puzzle.
I mean, I'm just standing here. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. Let's go. Whee! Thank God I'm not on my Norn. That was annoying. Jump puzzles all day.
Oh, I accidentally popped into the PvP. Hold on.
Oh, it's all good.
Get out of here.
We could do that as well. Could destroy this. Is anyone in the chat and also in the when you're watching this, how do you feel about jump puzzle events in Guild Wars 2? Should we have a jump puzzle for every single? We've got it for Clockwork Tower. We got it for this. I kind of really like doing these actually. It doesn't help my blinking though, unfortunately, because I'm like really focused and I'm just like.
The last time that I did that jumping puzzle was when I was getting my Winter's Presence shoulders, and I haven't done it since.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't done the Crucible, you know, the Chalice of Tears.
Yeah.
I hadn't done that until this year, when I told my guildies that I hadn't done it, and they held my hand and mesmer portaled me to the top.
Oh.
I did that. I did that. I did it once, like legitimately. No. I did it once legitimately, and then there was on stream someone was like porting people. It was for the Aurene Legendary, I think. Was it for Aurene Legendary or for the one of them? I can't remember which one it was for, but like you had to get something, and it was. I was like, yep, good. I'm not doing that. I am not doing that again. No. Oh, thank you, Sunny Jim. I would like to not live that life.
I mean, it's
right
spicy.
now.
It's incredibly spicy.
Oh yeah, it's a good puzzle. I don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it is a long-term aspirational jump puzzle, right?
Aspirational jump puzzle.
It was one of the.
I like how you span that. That was very good. I did that first time. Oh my god, that was good. Sorry.
It is definitely something that is like, yeah, not made to be the most accessible. I'm just wandering around and I find this and I just like one-shot it and it's so easy kind of jump puzzle. Like, it's not that, but I finally got through and did it.
Nice.
It took a long time, and yes, we did set some rules when I was like, there's no way that we can genuinely be like, absolutely no mesmer portals, absolutely no anything, because it's so long and it's so tough. So I was like, we will reach every checkpoint like of our own volition, but once we're there, I let people like teleport me back to where we had been if I fell off or died or wherever.
Right.
so I think that made it more bearable. And of course, there's things like the rewind machines and stuff like that, right? But jump puzzles and Guild Wars 2 are so fun. I think the Wintersday one has its own unique charm too, because you have the like crumbling snowflakes and the persistent snow damage and the all that kind of stuff that I think still makes it really memorable, like Mad Kings, even if it's slightly different, a different beast.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I got broken by Coddler's Cove, so I don't have the emotional rigidity to bear.
Oh, okay. Is that the one, the kind of like the Goonies style one?
It's in a underwater cavern, and there are little quaggons that sing while you're doing the jumping puzzle. And if you fall off and die, they res you. And I was broken by that.
With the big fish, you're gonna get your wish. Ooh, little barracuda.
It's amazing.
Okay, I need that.
I love the songs.
I need that in my life to get me to sleep. That's
consistently.
great.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't
I was
remember
there
that
for
one.
like 4 hours and I just couldn't get the distance. And then some mesmer just like flew past me at like 90 miles an hour
Yeah.
and took pity on me and gave me a portal.
Amazing.
And I think I gave her like 10 gold. I was like, oh, thank you so much.
Oh my god.
You know, they could at some point add in another pathway for the Wintersday JP or things like that. I mean, they've added in a lot of different things over the years to this event, so I don't necessarily think they need to, but
I don't think that they should hobble this fantastic game type because I am just deeply incompetent at it. I just have to accept that I need a carry, and I'm fine with that. I'm okay.
well,
But it
it's
doesn't
a
have to all
feature.
suit me.
It's a feature of the game. Mesmer portals, all those kinds of things, right? Talk about accessibility. Like, there are ways to be able to do this, or like even work with a friend who's way better at it than you are, or like, and I think that's great. I think that's brilliant. There's no shame in that.
One of those friends is in the chat. She's called D, and she has portaled me to numerous locations. So yeah, I mean,
Now, this cracks me up because I know D, and I know that D is notoriously also as bad at jump puzzles as you and I are. So,
yeah, but she has a steely determination. She does. She has a steely heart of iron in that chest of her.
That is the thing.
She's
Even if you're
amazing.
failing, you need like consistency to improve on those things. So if you're very, very stubborn as well, that works.
Yeah.
That works the same as well. I just came out the jump.
Bloody-minded determination.
Yes, absolutely. That works. I mean, I'm good with that. I'm gonna jump into the PvP things. Was it Snowball Mayhem? There you go.
I was going to say, one game loop that the game doesn't have on it, I think I talked about it the last time we were on, is that solo loop for like older content by the very nature of the game. And I don't think that there's, as a player who often does solo content, like the Dragon Response missions, I feel like that particular solo experience is not valued, at least in terms of rewards, whereas group content for like Dragon Response missions is. There's literally, you can spend an hour getting down a boss solo because it's so difficult because you're having problems breaking the break bar and the NPCs have the intelligence of a dried noodle. And then you get, at the end of the mission, you get Bupkis. Nothing, zilch, nada. And I think that I would very much like them to not advantage it to the point where it can be run to exploit the system.
Yeah.
But if it had some sort of token system so that doing this would reward, you could exchange tokens for a skin at least associated with the story point, that would be nice. Some sort of reward for solo play in more challenging situations would be lovely, because I know a load of people who exclusively play the story on their own, and I think, for example, Heart of Thorns was brilliant for that. There was loads of solo rewards, loads of achievement rewards that you could get as a solo player playing through that content and playing through the story. And I would like to see a bit of a return to that so that's how I would like them to address the kind of lack of rewards and lack of loop for solo players.
That's true. Yeah, there definitely needs to be some. Oh, good lord! What the hell? What the fuck was that? Sorry, I was just doing some ridiculous.
No, you're good.
things on my reindeer thingy that I have. Apparently, I don't know what's happening here.
Now, I think maybe thinking about ways in which we could see some improvements about various aspects of the game, right? As I wander around here in this plaza, one thing that I will say about a lot of these event hubs is that over the years, as they've added a lot of other things, I find that some people are better about this than I am, and I realize that. But for me, once the event is done, my whole brain is wiped clean. And when I come back to it the next year, no matter how many times I have gone through the portal to the jump puzzle, or the portal to the PvP, or the portal to whatever, I almost always still go in the wrong ones. I get confused, I get turned around. So I think that one thing that they could do here to kind of improve the experience, at least of the festivals, and especially for new players, would be to do something like a bit of a visual overhaul on some of those different activities and events, or on the borders that even surround the portals, or just a way that, like, even when you come in, maybe this does happen, I don't remember, but like when you come in for the first time, there's an option to talk to somebody that gives you a tour of the plaza. Like, this is where the jump puzzle is. That's where this is. What's the goal of the festival? Earn rewards for blah, blah, blah. Check out achievements for Wintersday under this. And you can like immediately go look at the achievements, right? Or see what you might want to work towards. And it would show off some of those little rewards that you could get, or like the beautiful winter infusion kind of thing that you can get, or stuff like that. I think just to give players a little more bearing, because I do feel like when you come in here, I've done this for years now, and I still look at it and I'm like,
oh yeah,
who are each of these vendors? And I
have no idea still. I literally had to look at every single icon and mouse over it. Yeah.
So I think they could maybe clean up some of that. I mean, I know that was kind of a jump from discussion about like solo play experience in general, but I think it kind of all dovetails into some of the things that are like larger kind of conversations in the game about the fact that like you don't always know what's totally accessible to you, or like how you can engage with it, and or like what this all means. And I think when I first started playing, I didn't even engage with trying to get a lot of the rewards, because I looked at all these vendors and I was like, I need 5,000 of what to get what to transfer to who to do what for this. What are the like, how do I even earn those? Maybe this is just something I don't understand, but one day I will, you know, like. So I think that could be explained better.
Like, and you have to go. It's one of those things where you're like, I have to. Thank God someone's made a video about this kind of thing. When it's like and ESO is like really bad. There's a lot worse for that actually than even Guild Wars 2 is. But like, I think that's kind of a consistent thing with a lot of games. They forget that, you know, people haven't. The new players and stuff like haven't done this year after year after year, and even like us, like, you know, vets now the game have said like. Yeah, I'm still confused at times, honestly, when that happens. I think we represent like the more general kind of chill gamer who doesn't like play Guild Wars 2 every day for like hours upon hours, and well, you know, not all the time. But like, you know, sometimes we forget things, especially as we get older. But yeah, absolutely.
Just right, so all I see is a sea of lollipops. There's no differentiation.
Are you talking about life, or are you talking about Guild Wars 2? Wow, what is that you're enjoying on a daily basis? There is it Christmas?
Yeah, I
Christmas
wish.
joy.
No. I have had some CBD oil today, but no, unfortunately not. THC free. But I see a sea of lollipops. But there's no differentiation between the person who's going to take you to the jumping puzzle, the person who's going to take you to the PvP area, or the vendors who give you things. And I think that even that level, just adding an additional marker, because it's great. I know that all these people are Wintersday people that I can interact with, but there are orphans who want gifts, which is a quest thing. And there are vendors who I can exchange things with. And there's a place where I can play musical instruments as a game. So there's no differentiation, and unless you kind of and it's a lot. It's very overwhelming for a new player who doesn't understand all these systems, and just it's like, well, Jesus Christ, there was 27 people that I should talk to. Which one first, you know? And I totally agree with Rook. It's wonderful. It's a great event, but I think that they could bear grabbing a person who's never jumped into Guild Wars 2, never played any of it and throwing them in and seeing what they butt up against, right?
Yeah.
What the stumbling blocks for them, because that's who we need for the game to grow. Brand new people.
It'd be good to do that. If, I mean, I get they've got the QA people and they've got the alpha, and you know, I don't mind. I think I'm okay saying this. I was in the alpha years ago. I think I'm allowed to say that because I'm not in it anymore, and it's, you know, this is when I was commentating and stuff. But like, I don't know if they have like testing for people who are just random, like, kind of not QA, but like, you know, kind of, though, you know when they get you in and they, like, you eat food and you give them the feedback and stuff. Like, I don't know how often they do that. I don't know how often games do that. I know that, you know, I've done a couple of bits of like Xbox because I live in Seattle. Like, you can, if you live in Seattle or Washington, you can go and do this stuff really, like, often. You can go and test games and stuff. You can, like, log in their website and just, you know, go test random things. I remember testing some old games and just being like first reactions, all this kind of stuff. It would be really interesting. I would love to just sit and be like, you know, with a player and just see their experience and see how they engage in the systems that's never played an MMORPG, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that would be very interesting. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Whether or not I would have a problem there or not, you know, I think we would with every single MMORPG, honestly. But...
it might actually be something that I force upon my poor husband, because he is an MMO player.
Right.
But he's never played Guild Wars 2.
What? For the amount of years you've been covering this, he's never played Guild Wars 2?
No.
Okay, I'm in the PvP thing, right? So if you're a new player or whatever, you can basically choose your class. So you can be a scout, a heavy gunner, or a supporter. A supporter, of course, is what I'll do. So you can heal and put up walls and blocks and stuff. I actually really enjoy this, and I wish it was in the game permanently, to be fair, as like an actual thing for players to do, because I think PvP is kind of mind-numbing right now. But anyway, so yeah, you should definitely do that, and I will be at that stream. I will be there, and it will be good.
Yeah, I should torture my husband, possibly live on. Yeah,
you should do that for your
live
YouTube
on the internet. Yeah.
Right. Up for that. Yeah, there is actually a lot more events, I feel like, in Wintersday than there is for other things as well. Happy Wintersday, and yes, to yourself as well. Yeah, to everyone. Everyone's even said that. Why is there so many people and it's just me in this instance? Jesus.
I mean, yeah, it seems like Wintersday and then Mad Kings are the two really big ones that have a ton of activities and things. I mean, quite a few of them do, though. Four Winds has a bunch of different things that you can do. New Year's maybe has a little less. I'm trying to remember, but it definitely doesn't have all of these like instanced modes and all kinds of different things like that. But Wintersday does have a lot, and I actually really love the range of activities. The little bell game. One of these years, I am going to destroy it on all the difficulties. I still have not gotten there yet,
so
but
bad
it consumes me. Like, I get so fixated on wanting to try and actually excel at that dumb thing. The PvP mode is fun. I mean, they have a really nice little offering of different things in the game, right?
Yeah.
Jump puzzle activity, PvP activity, a kind of fun coordinated activity. They even have the little like holiday race. They have, again, it's like a little showcasing of a lot of the different types of content and modes in the game, which I think is great for getting players kind of interacting in those different types of things. I love all the little stuff that they have for this one. I think it's a great little festival, honestly.
Yeah.
I just watched Jury and Marjorie and Cass walk across the pavilion and go to the bell ringing competition and just disappear into the bell ringing competition.
Oh, really?
That's how, yeah, that's the detail. And Kazmi is wearing the original Wintersday attire. You know, the fluffy. Yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
that's
lovely
cool.
attention to detail. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, I wonder if they did that before, because they have changed some elements of this, like just pathing and stuff. I think the race has changed. I'm not sure though. Just did the race before. I just didn't do much of the PvP thing because it just ended. But You get the gist.
Also,
chat.
if you're opening Wintersday presents, don't do what I did and click on them and give yourself carpal tunnel. Right at the bottom of the options is use all. So do that.
Yes.
Just saying. You
Okay,
should be
use
giving
all.
yourself carpal tunnel for twerking your turtles. That's the only appropriate use of that.
I kind of want to go and I've never heard that before. I've never
It's the
heard that
new
before.
teddy bear turtles. They were twerking in my guild hall like crazy.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry, you were talking about that.
yeah.
Right.
Oh no! What? No furry content here. Don't worry. No, it's fine.
That's fine.
I've got friends who are furries, so I'm like, yeah, go for it. Live your best life. Like,
All right, I'm gonna do the bell thing. I'm gonna make a tit myself. Let's go.
go for it. I believe in you. You know, I mean, I almost
Wow,
asked you.
you should be going as well. This is like, I'm not just, I'm going to the northeast stage. That's all
I
I'm
have to
saying.
say it, Jebro, but I want you to know that I'm going to say this with love in my heart for you as your
Okay,
friend.
sure.
You don't need the bell thing to make a tit of yourself.
Wow, cheers. I'm
come out
surprised
again,
that
just
I'm
shots
surprised that
fired.
no. Wow, that was just wow. Wait, who said that? Was that Rook or was that you? I'm confused now.
That was Fornax.
Was that you?
I
I was
think-
like, I thought the voice
Jesus
went a bit high.
Christ.
I was like, what?
Under the bus
maybe,
I go.
maybe it's
There's
because
me,
like
just- Shit.
I was like very well.
What?
Fornax is here, and I'm like, I'm very surprised that Rook said such a thing. I'm like,
Well, I would
how?
never. That's
Good
why it was
lord.
definitely
Oh,
Fornax who
right,
said
okay.
it.
Right, fine. I mean, I know this.
Great.
I don't need to be told. Oh, my heart's breaking.
No.
Actually, Fornax is a regular because they're taken over from Rook, who is now fired.
Oh my god. All right.
It's the
All
true-
right.
It's the true reasoning. It's the true reasoning. It's like, I'm just joking, everyone. Yeah, see, we are good friends here. This is okay.
I'm good for the snark. If you want professional gaming reviews, you need her. You desperately need her.
Oh, I know. I definitely need a
FYI.
Rook here for sure. I need everyone here. Actually, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's difficult. I don't know if I can do this. Okay, it goes up to 4 and then 9. Okay, that I can do maybe. I can't remember where you got to press the bell though. I'm gonna fail so hard. Do you press it when it hits the thing or just before? I think it's
Oh,
just
there's a
on
whole thing to it. There's like you have to get like really good at it. I think you do it. Oh, you just get good, Jebro.
the- That's good.
I think it's that you really genuinely do want to try and get it as close to when it literally crosses the line as possible. Like
Okay.
it's tricky. It's actually really hard.
It's like Guitar Hero, isn't it? It's like,
Basically,
yeah.
I did it. Yes. Sorry. They've got this, so they do have this here, but they have this in New World as well. Oh god. No. Wow, it just like, what? Oh my god. I survived, but I didn't do well. And my face is just like,
Yeah,
when I do this.
I love that it also kills. It like punishes you
Oh my God.
physically if you fail at bell playing. Nobody would be a musician if that's what happened. Well, okay, maybe some people would be musician if that's what happened to you, but like for very different reasons. For much
No, it
spicier
reminds me
reasons.
too much of my music teacher, Mr. Monroe. He was a monster.
Oh my god. Oh my
Don't go
god,
to
how?
Private school kids. You can do it. Oh my god. Ow.
I don't know how well I did there. The person at the top has 584 and I've got 244. It's like, okay, cool. I mean, I made it to the end. That doesn't happen often, to be fair. So I did all right. There we go. Boom.
Reader Geek says Lord of the Rings has the best music system.
It does, yeah. It really does. You have musical guilds like performing in the city there, and it's it's just another world. Like you can load in like what is it called? Like Word files and stuff where it plays music for you, but like it is really detailed and you can really get keen on it. Like it's really fun. If you ever could play Lord of the Rings online, it's worth it just to go there. The MIDI files, that's right, yeah. So
is
fun.
an idea, and I don't know how this would work. I'm not totally sure yet, but thinking about like the music systems and exceptional cases of them with like Lord of the Rings Online, right? Got me thinking about the music guilds that we have even here, which I know Lara is a part of, and stuff like that in Guild Wars 2, which then got me thinking about a recent holiday charity community event that happened in Final Fantasy XIV, which we were just talking about on the other podcast that I do yesterday. And I was thinking about there was a concert, we were talking about events and stuff that were put on in like a little amphitheater that's in game, right?
Yeah.
It has like, the seating and a stage area and stuff like that. And one area that I don't know that I've seen as many MMOs really leaning into, although 14 might be kind of the one that I think is pushing the furthest towards this, is the idea that there are many players who get very immersed in the world and that want to do some extension of role playing within the worlds that they are a part of. So whether that's creating venues like Canucks Club, so Club Canuck.
Yeah.
I was talking when we did our last show with the little tour around some of our favorite places. I was talking about the fact that I'd actually talked to a beautiful team member who had told me that when they were designing that, they specifically were keeping an eye on it as an RP venue, which is why there's interactable seats and all these other kinds of things. So I would be really curious if for some of these events, like, I don't know, like Wintersday here, I mean, it's something where I don't know if the amount of participation would be worth it from a developmental standpoint, but part of me is like, how fun would it be to actually put in different, I don't know, different things where maybe we got a bell choir amphitheater or something, or a musical performance area where you could like squat up and then you could enter the stage as like a group or something, and you could put on a performance, and like maybe there would be an announcer or something in the area, or like something that would say like a performance is happening now, or you could choose to go sit in the audience and there could be different little things that you could do, like clapping or throwing holiday sparklers, or I don't know. It wouldn't have to have like a really loud auditory component because you wouldn't want to overwrite the musical thing. But then maybe there could be other little achievements for like putting on a holiday show or being in the audience, or I don't know. I don't actually know how this would totally work, but I think that those kinds of like interactive fun group environments and setups, I think there's a way for MMOs to figure out how to give them a more firm place within the gameplay of a game, or even create like separate look for group categories for things like performances or venues or stuff like that would kind of even give more of that an opportunity to shine. Because like, how fun would it be to see a bunch of actual like carolers in the game, or bell choirers who were like standing around this time of year playing? And I'm sure groups put on those events, but I love the idea of encouraging people to get more familiar with instrument systems or little RP things or community endeavors kind of in that way. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That would be cool.
That sounds lovely.
So.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, I think like, the more options you have to, or like just options for people to RP and do that kind of stuff is always like, I think just adding that kind of thing is cool. I don't feel like they could even just replicate something and stick it in an instance or whatever, like a lobby or something. That would be cool. There is nothing stopping people from doing that, I guess, as well, just in areas maybe, I guess, but like maybe if the music system was actually a little bit more intricate. I don't know.
I was going to say, in the first years of the game, when I was running the Crichton Herald role-playing newspaper, we used to do articles about the different role-playing events that were going on, and there was a whole group. There was like 20 players who were all doing the Crichton Ministry, and they were literally role-playing what it would be like to run Kreiter and interact with the queen and interact with and they had all these intrigues and mysteries, and it was like complete dramas and like people having affairs, and it was crazy. But there was also another group who used to advertise in the role playing for their events in the role playing newspaper. They had advertised their events in the newspaper, and they would do theatre performances in the district with the bandstand in Divinity's Reach, and there's a stage, and they'd do like a stage show where they'd use tonics and they'd do poetry and dancing and that, and it was amazing. So
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I also just love the idea that with that, publication, I mean, were you reporting on those groups? So like, would you give updates about like the current Crichton ministry drama and things that were going on, or was it more like specifically news-based for the game?
There was one woman who was like, the analogy balls deep in this, but she absolutely was, right? She was absolutely immersed in it, and it was her bag. So she would write all these stories and everything, and then I would edit it all in, put all the beautiful imagery in, and then publish it off, and she would share it wherever the hell she wanted, and I would put it on the RP forums. And she did like hundreds and hundreds of articles all about the antics of these people and the different dramas and interacting with a niece and all the rest of it. And they had this whole intricate system of like backdoor intrigue. It was like the West Wing, but in Divinity's Reach.
I know where you were going.
Oh my gosh. I want that so bad. I want that so bad. That'd be so fun.
Parties. I got invited to one of these, and it was like it was like I was at an ambassador's party, and all these RPs beautifully dressed, and people are going around asking if you want drinks. This is real players playing. Come along to play the servants, and then you'd had all these like ministry people in there all talking about politics and the centaur and everything in real time. It was just amazing.
That's so good. I know D, just shouting out D again here in the chat. D just did a little ball RP event with the community, and I mean, I'm definitely going to be like shouting out to more people in the Lightbringers Guild and everything, even with these, because I genuinely love RP, and I think that having even these kinds of seasonal events like Wintersday, like we talked about, they offer such fun ways to expand RP and do something that's themed to that and do something that's fun like that. But then, like you're saying, Fornax, there is so much potential in this world for all these groups and like the ongoing setting and great locales. Like we did the little ball, which was so much fun at is it Minister Wee's mansion. We did it, and it was like that was great. Like it's so great.
I want that man's house. We need to get him. Yeah.
But it is really fun. And gosh, now I just want to like, if I had more time and energy or a group of people that were interested, now I just want to do another like a gossip publication about role player drama, like in character role player drama in the various factions of the world, because that's so fun. I love that.
Something that I miss actually is the stories. What I would love to do on the channel is to actually like read people's role-playing stories out, like read the stories that they've written about their characters. Well, I mean, I can. So I'm fairly okay at kind of dramatizing things, but yeah, I would like to kind of narrate their stories and do visuals and that kind of thing. I did Kit the Traveler. Kit the Traveler wrote a story.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, and I actually she said, would you like to collaborate? And I said sure. So she sent me the story, and I made it into like a little movie and narrated it all on my channel. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Lovely. Yeah.
Well, if you ever need anyone to play roles or join in or do, I would be so down, because I love that. I love the creativity of this community. It's so amazing. And yeah, you should make those, because that'd be great. I would watch it.
Real Housewives of Divinity's Reach. Holy shit.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, it's part of what's fun, and I think especially when it comes to those like political endeavors, we don't always get as much of a sense of them. There are instances, right, where you attend the whatever event, or you're trying to do subterfuge stuff, but that's actually a really huge part of the world of Guild Wars too. And it's much harder to actually pull off things like that than it is to just have like, here's a boss you fight using your fight abilities, you know, like.
Yeah.
So I think that component of the world and lore and the intrigue and the drama and the spies and the secret collectives and organizations, it's all in Guild Wars too. And a lot of it does take, you know, there's so much involved here with Divinity's Reach, but it's not always something that you get as much of the fantasy of when you're just playing through the game, unless you do stuff like role playing. So
quite funny because some of my favorite like character interactions are in those like political intrigue instances that we used to get. I think it was pre-Heart of Thorns when we were all prepping up to go, and it was Anise and Kanek, and he was having to prove himself because she'd just like bought his billet from the Lion Guard, and she'd said, "You're going to work for me, and you're going to work yourself out of your criminal record." And the snarky interaction between those two characters, and like his reaction when he went in Cordicus's manor to the picture of Logan Thackeray up above the bed of Cordicus is one of the favorite moments I have ever had. It was just perfect. You remember that?
it's so good. It's such a weird painting. It raises so many questions.
There are loads of stuff like that in the game, like in different places. That dungeon.
Like Kanek's like, "Oh, Minister, you do not disappoint." It was just perfect. It was perfect.
Amazing. I'm just running around inside the Tix's thingamajig.
I think
as well. That's kind of fun. I did like roleplay. I'm not like a big roleplay or anything, but we made videos on Rift because you could get married and you could have an instance, right? Where you would do it, but we did like random things where I think one of my friends recorded it from years ago, but there was like someone at the altar who got jilted, and it was like the person they cheated on was like in the crowd and stuff, and it was like, you know, made this whole drama thing about it. It was kind of funny. So it really does, like, even for people who aren't into that kind of thing, you kind of want to witness it as well, which is kind of fun. So yeah, absolutely. I think these kinds of events specifically can really bring that out for sure, especially festivals and stuff.
Well, maybe with Cass and Jury getting married, that is the opportunity for them to introduce a marriage ceremony into the game. And 14 has one of the best marriage ceremonies. I mean, I'm not wrong, am I?
No, I mean, it's great. It's great. It's fun.
Yeah. And you get special items that you only get if you get married.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not telling you how many times I've been married. It's not that kind of podcast, okay?
I mean, are you sure? I feel like I've been there for a while.
Jebro, I just had the thought of a Lightbringers, a Darkbringers after hours tell-all episode, which could be a lot of fun, and I would not do it.
Tell all of what? have we not told everything already? I don't know.
Where we gossip and banter and talk about ourselves, or whatever.
We can do that.
It'd be fun.
I would definitely have that. I mean, yeah, it would be fun. I can definitely have like hit the person.
We can talk about bananas. Yes. Yeah. Dee knows what I'm talking about. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't even know. Darkbringers are like a thing. I did me and Criff did a Darkbringers, but it was just and someone else, but we just talked about the game, so it wasn't really like dark anything. It was just during the night. So it was just like that was the reason why it was called Darkbringers. But yeah, that's absolutely something we can think about doing. Yeah, if anyone has any questions and stuff for our kind of review of 2022 as well, like, make sure you check them in the comments of the YouTube video, check them in I've got some, I know Rook's community as well, I've got some questions they popped out there as well, so anyone that wants to do that, please make sure you take part. I would appreciate because we will endeavor to answer your questions. They can be fairly general as well. It doesn't just have to be Guild Wars 2 related. If you have an MMO question or something not too personal, but like, you know, we can talk about that. I know someone asked me about mental health stuff, so I'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, anyone that wants to do that, chuck a little reply in the comments for sure.
I guess I'm doing admin at work, but I would like, because I love talking about Guild Wars 2, but I maybe that when you think about podcasts going forward into the new year, you might want to have a variation. So 1 week Guild Wars 2, 1 week variety MMO, 1 week something else, so that with the same people, but because we all play different games.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think
yeah.
the audience would be very.
That's true.
I think, like, I love cozy games. I love my Switch. And I love cozy games
on my Switch more for sure. Well, I was gonna do a weekly because I'm actually kind of in the middle of thinking about if I want to just have this as a gaming channel or like a podcast channel, because I just kind of like talking to people. But like obviously like having it as like, you know, still streaming games and stuff, people that are here, like obviously come, it's okay. Don't worry. But yeah, I think I want to definitely have, I want to market it differently because Lightbringers is very Guild Wars 2 themed.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a set up a different like Spotify and everything else with a more general gaming / MMORPG podcast for sure. And it's like, but I can probably do that here as well. Yeah, there's loads of different stuff. I think it's going to become a struggle I started doing this weekly because of End of Dragons, and it just continued because I know we can talk about anything, and even if we bring up the same thing every week, like randomly or just vaguely, like it will be okay, because I think people just like hearing us talk about the game and then like the excitement and stuff. So it's always been like, what do we do? And like last week I was like, couldn't think of what the fuck to do, like no idea, and it was just like, let's just look at our favorite places in the game again. Easy podcast, you know. And no one does that, like no one does the same kind of podcasts as we have here, like just because we have like people like have their ideas and stuff as well, which is really, really awesome. So it's just been, we're getting close to 100-ish episodes. We've got like officially like almost close to 80 kind of episodes that are named, but we easily almost 100 because of all the End of Dragon stuff we did. So yeah, there's gonna be plenty more of this next year for sure. Hopefully there's just loads more stuff. Oh yes, I am. It's gonna be, you know, it's just gonna be great. And like when different people come on as well, there's always like the themes around, you know, what we're gonna talk about this week, and like this person's got this look on this thing, and that's why we've got such a good mix of people. Like just with you and Rook and Boots and Kroof as well. We've got like builds, we've got like story, we've got RP, we've got dungeons, raids. Like every piece of content is pretty much covered. And there's like even me with PvP, and you know, Boots does World v World as well as, you know, I do sometimes as well. And we all mix and match and kind of yeah, I don't know, it just fits pretty well. We've got a really good crew of people. So it's good. Like the people we started off with, I think the first show I ever had was like MMORPG, Alex who was RPG Shack back in the day, and what's her name? She's English. She doesn't do Guild Wars 2 stuff much anymore, but like, you know, the different people I've had. Rook was on there pretty early. I'm pretty sure you were, weren't you?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, really early. I would have to check the first one, but like you were one of the first.
It's been so long.
People, I think I need to I want to check. I know that we're going way off topic now. It's like Wintersday thing, and like, you know, people. So I'm gonna start
being podcast admin.
Bit.
You guys talk amongst yourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
I swear, it's just like it's been there was so many hours of content on this podcast specifically. It's like,
oh, wow.
I think
it's as if we just really love talking about the games we love. I don't know.
I know, it's weird. It is weird, right? It doesn't make any sense.
And we just enjoy being together and hanging out with all of you, whether you're live or afterwards, leaving comments. It's just awesome.
I think that's the big thing about it for me, like just hanging out with my friends and doing the things. Oh, you're on the second episode. Ha!
Ooh.
As Bird of Chess. Oh. Yeah, we've had loads of different people. Age has been on a bunch of these as well. Angry Zorek, Malfanis. Had loads of different people. Muckluck's been on it as well. Kroof, Boots. Oh, Boots has been on a couple of times. Yeah.
I think it's important, especially when life is difficult, to give yourself the opportunity to just relax and have fun and unplug and not worry about things that you can't control, and just privilege yourself with a bit of kindness and a space where you can just be frivolous. I think that's nice.
Yeah, and not have to worry about feeling like judged and all this kind of. Yeah, we're going into a random. It's okay, chap. Don't worry. We're just chilling. It's Christmas. We're being, we've got the Christmas vibes going on. So we're like, it's all about that right now.
Mulled wine and lollipops. That's what we need.
Yeah, for sure. That's what it's about. That's the reason why I play MMOs, And I think for me, it's difficult now because I think there are so many around that, you feel a little bit, I feel a little bit sometimes, even in our community as well. And I don't get to play as much as I would like to. And there's so many that you're all kind of died around. You've got this community, which is centered around one game you all started in, but then there's so many people playing so many others. There's like Destiny 2, New World, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft comes out with an expansion. Everyone tries that. It's like there's so many different things. So this podcast is one way of getting like different communities and like kind of coming together for sure. And that's really
it's a
good.
nice problem to have. Too many games, too many wonderful games to play.
I know, right?
Oh,
and I have to say, I think ultimately that's why. What Fornax was saying, I think that's why these holiday events are so fun. Sometimes you just need to give yourself permission to do something fun, frivolous, silly, something that, for whatever reason makes you feel, hopefully happy about the season, or like there's a little place where you can celebrate no matter whether or not you have any decorations in your house, whether or not you enjoy being around your family, whether or not
so true.
It's nice for all that these events give us a lot of different content or rewards or things like that. I think I find myself more so not only with this podcast, because this podcast is also such a great, wonderful little haven. And I agree. I always feel like this is one of the content things that I do that doesn't in some way feel like work. It is something that we're so happy to make and to do and to, do our best with, but it's also a genuine joy to do. And I think that a lot of times those holiday events can be a lot of the same, where it's just kind of a thing that you get to do for fun if you want to do it, and give yourself that permission to not stress, not feel like you need to prog something that's really difficult or do something that everybody that like is the end game or whatever it is that you might feel like you need to do, or your dailies or whatever, but just to get to have something fun to do. Not to say that you can't play these holiday events in a very serious hardcore way, you can, but
there's gonna be someone who said that. It's like, but yeah, thankfully, like I think we forget about that sometimes in the game, like especially in MMOs, because you can really, like, without that hardcore kind of end game part, I think a lot of people are like, what's the end game like, and what's this kind of, just like, what's the journey of this game, like, what is the path of like enjoyment outside of just farming stuff and just having that real like narrow focus of like gear and all that kind of stuff, these little side things we do. And that's why absolutely, these events are so good.
I like that Guild Wars 2 breaks the paradigm of that hustle culture of number must go up. I like that's it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I think it's disadvantaged it because of the culture in gaming. But I think that if we can get enough bums on seats, they can change that paradigm. They can move the zeitgeist in favor of more exploration and just story and enjoyment, rather than number must go up but boss must die.
Yeah, I think they do that I think Guild Wars 2 is a great MMO for, I think a lot of people who play Guild Wars 2 have never played an MMORPG before as well, honestly. I think a lot of people first, especially nowadays, like, this is a good intro MMO for a lot of people, because especially if you think about the future going forward, because there's like tab targeting and stuff is going to be like gone in the next 10 years, hopefully, maybe, we'll see, I don't know. But like, although it's still prevalent in like Final Fantasy is pretty prevalent as well, actually, honestly, so probably not, because that game is massive, obviously. But yeah, I don't know, it's just pretty chill in comparison to the Office. I think it's pretty easy to get into, although we have had these conversations about what it's like to be a new player, and sometimes it's not that easy. So maybe I'm contradicting myself in the same sentence.
I think both can be true. I think both can be true. I think that there's a load of content in the game that is very hold your hand, take you to it and do it. But I think there's so much more content and so much more scope to this game and to Final Fantasy 14 that is off the beaten track that they don't direct new players to, so they don't know it's there. So both things are true, I think.
Yeah.
Just working out how I'm what
Oh,
I'm
you
actually
did.
doing in this instance, because I can't remember. I just went into it to give people something to watch. While we're talking, I was just massively confused and ranting randomly, and I don't know what I said. And so I was like, I'm
Someone's
lost.
giving you a nice rub. There you go.
They are. Rub me. Oh, I'm getting some double rubs there. Excellent.
Oh,
Thank you
geez.
so much.
Okay. Wow. Well, you know,
People.
we could leave you alone in private to do this, Jeb, if you need to go ahead and.
I think that could be a good time to end the podcast. Yes.
Come to
What a coincidence.
and get
I mean,
rubbed
that's so
a
weird.
lot. Yeah.
It's so odd that is happening right there. And it feels like we should definitely end there. I mean, you know, terrible how it is.
Weird.
It's good for your mental health. It is very good for your mental health. A good
Getting
rub.
rubbed.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Ooh.
You know what I just realized? We had basically made it throughout the entire podcast without making some wildly inappropriate joke. But now, thank you, Fornax. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you sure?
The episode is saved.
No.
The episode is saved. The inappropriate joke has been made, and I feel like we're good. We're ready. We've had the full episode. All the
Dodged that
content
bullet,
everybody
we did,
expects. Yeah.
I mean, otherwise we would have been lost. I
We
mean,
would have been. Yeah.
This is why you're here. Damn it, I didn't get to give my present in. This is upsetting. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for watching the Lightbringers podcast. I hope you had a great evening, show, afternoon, morning, whatever time you're watching this afterwards as well. Twitch.tv/JebroUni on Friday, sometimes a Sunday. Manu will be back hopefully next Friday for I think we'll do one more. Whether or not we do it the next Friday or the Friday after, actually tomorrow, I think next Friday we got the most people around, so we're going to do it next Friday. We'll do a year in review of Guild Wars 2, which will be the last Lightbringers podcast of the year, unless something changes, which it may do, depending. We'll have chats and we'll let you know. But yeah, it's been a fantastic one so far. We've still got one more to go. If you have any questions that you would like to ask myself or anyone else on the show, please make sure that you pop in some questions that you would like to ask us. I'd very much appreciate it. Otherwise, we will see you next time. There is Rookery. There is also Fornax. Make sure you check out all of their stuff. But before we go, they're going to get another opportunity to tell you what they do and where they do it and where you can check them out. Whether or not it might be on fire or not, that could be something that might happen in the future. Rookery first. Sorry. Just realised that someone wants to go. Yeah, who's going to be that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay, all right.
Go.
You all know what I do, where I do it, but in case you didn't know and you'd like more of this ridiculousness, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Rookery, ROOKURI. You can also find me on Twitter at Rookery_, and you can find me on Instagram just at Rookery. We play a lot of MMOs. I love games. I love chatting, and I'm a huge fan, particularly about story, characters, lore. I love breaking those things down, talking about them, and then talking about MMORPGs in general and how all these different games deliver these experiences to us. So we have a lot of fun, make a lot of butt jokes, we goof, we laugh, we giggle, we share life stuff, but we also love talking about a lot of these games. So if you're interested in that and you want to see that, whether that's in my pre-recorded content that goes up on YouTube or live in the moment over on Twitch, definitely come by sometime.
Pardon me. Sorry. Hello. Thank you. Do it. Please follow Rookery. Awesome legend, good friend. And make sure you please check out their stuff. I really do appreciate when I go into people's chats and I see people going around and then just like following different people and you're like, oh, they're from that community or they're from this community. And you're just like, oh, I've never seen them in here before. It's always awesome. Please go and check out everyone who's here because they are great. And another person you should definitely go check out is our friend Fornax as well, or the Crichton Heralders. You may know them. Please go and check them out. Tell us a little bit about what you do and where you do it as well, Fornax.
Hey, I make videos on YouTube. I'm still planning to do some Twitch streaming eventually at some point.
Oh,
this
you didn't do
millennium.
it? This
Well,
millennium?
I did it once.
You've not got long
Yeah.
left.
Kind of
We did
close,
about
mate.
Okay.
And Unfortunately, I've been a bit unwell, but
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay. I'm a disabled person. This shit happens all the time.
Still.
But I've got a wonderful community who are lovely to me, and there's going to be videos coming on the YouTube channel next week. At least 2 are coming next week on the channel.
Cool.
One from a Halloween competition that I promised to do for my friends over at Gamers Asylum, and they've waited very patiently. My God, poor bastards. And another one, I'm going to do a whole lineup of awesome Fashion Wars stuff in the game because I haven't done a Fashion Wars review in so long, and people keep asking. So you got to give the people what they want.
Yes, I do like those. That's true. Awesomeness. Okay, well, make sure you go and follow Nax as well. I am Jebro. If you want to go and check out my stuff, twitch.tv/JebroUnity. It's mostly on the weekends at the moment when I can manage it. YouTube, it's mostly the Lightbringers that goes on there. So if you want to check out that, youtube.com/JebroUni. You can follow me on Twitter and the other things if you want. I'm not doing a massive amount on social media. Twitter is probably where I am the most, and that's probably going to go down the drain fairly soon. So yeah, go and check out other things. I massively appreciate it. If you do want to support the channel in any kind of way via subbing, bidding, donations, and all the things, all that kind of money does help to keep things running and ticking over as well. So appreciate it. Please go and do the things for our friends as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I will remain streaming for a bit after this because I'm going to do some other things, but otherwise the Lightbringers podcast is done. We will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and have a fantastic Christmas and New Year's if we're not going to see you for the final show of the year. Bye bye everyone. Yay.